got your mind, don't know the direction to your side. Got the wrong impression, I thought that we were fine, but now it's turned to ice. So you decide, and I just wait. I don't get you, I don't chase. So you decide, and I'll just save my time. I guess bothering you. We know we're future proof. We know we're future proof. Tell me the truth. Tell me what's bothering you. We know we're future proof. We know we're future proof. Tell me the truth. Tell me what's bothering you. We know we're future proof. We know we're future proof. Tell me the truth. Tell me what's bothering you. We know we're future proof. We know we're future proof. Tell me the truth. Tell me what's bothering you. We know we're future proof. We know we're future proof. You wanna know my feelings?
Good evening and welcome to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. It is a great night tonight because we have got so much stuff going on right now. We currently have Wacy playing some Madden right now in the Skill Shot Championship, so that's one of the things we got going on here. But right now we have got to bring you some NECC Overwatch as Boise State is entering their semifinal match. I'm your host Jacob Jem Palmer, joined by Michael Fish Fisher. And Fish, why don't you bring us a little bit of the matchup tonight, and if you just a disclaimer, if you do hear a lot of clapping and hollering, it is because they're cheering Wacy on right now in Madden.
Yeah, Wacy's trying to go to be a back-to-back national champion. We'll have updates throughout, but this NECC match, it's semifinal in name only. Boise State and Midland. No offense to the other side of the bracket. This is the championship match, and I say that because this was the championship match in the winter. Boise State and Midland went toe-to-toe, and it was a shocking Midland victory. Boise State wants to be hashtag better than Midland this time. They want to get revenge after what they thought was a fantastic fall where they went undefeated through the regular season. They rolled Midland in the regular season, just couldn't get it done in the championship. Once again, exact same result for this blue team in NECC. They rolled everybody in the regular season. They did not drop a single game. They lost one map all season. It was absolutely incredible, but it doesn't matter what you do in the regular season. It matters what you do in the playoffs, and right now, Boise State wants that revenge on Midland. They want to be in the championship game, but these are the two best teams from the fall, so I would not be shocked if, even though this is a 1-4 matchup, we go all 5 games because these teams are incredibly close.
Well, it is Boise State versus Midland in the NECC semifinal Overwatch match. We are going to see who can go on to the grand finals. And now, Fish, not only is it redemption for Boise State trying to be hashtag better than Midland, but they are also going to be doing it in a bit of a new environment with balance changes just coming through for them and a whole lot of nerfs and buffs across the board. We see Reinhardt being one of the dominant tanks getting his health nerf, but what I find interesting is that they're really making an effort to try to also bring in a little bit more of the support choices as Baptiste is having his immortality field and some of his healing, his splash healing nerfed while his direct healing is buffed, whereas Moira, that biotic orb has the cooldown released by 2 whole seconds, so they're really trying to bring in a little bit more diversity in terms of tanks and support picks.
Yeah, I think it is going to be really interesting. From what I've heard for the Baptiste changes, they're not as dramatic as they appear on paper. As you mentioned, it's the splash healing that is reduced, but the direct healing is increased. So it really just punishes lazy Baptiste play. If you're not trying to aim at somebody, if you're just kind of trying to say, oh, I'll shoot in that direction, it'll hit somebody, that will be a nerf. But for players at this skill level, they're usually making contact with those grenades every time, so it is a direct buff. The immortality field, that's the interesting one. Down from 20% minimum health down to 10%. That is going to be very, very interesting. And the other one that I think is catching a lot of eyes that I don't think is actually going to really matter is the D.Va changes. Her when she remexed, the explosion damage quintupled all the way up to 250. Blizzard said they wanted to try and fix staggering. I don't think that's really going to be an issue. Very rarely does that D.Va even get a remech off. So that one's kind of a meme, if you will. I think the Reinhardt changes, as you pointed out, very interesting, kind of rebalancing him, trying to make him just a tad weaker. But yeah, I would expect to still see a lot of Baptiste. I don't think this is going to do really all that much to change up the meta, but I like what they're trying to do. Maybe we get a little bit away from it, but still, even at 10% health, Immortality Field is just so strong. The ability to not die and basically add 100 hit points that you have to burn through on that lamp, it's not going to be as big as maybe you would think, but we'll have to see if maybe Boise State or Midland wants to change things up.
Yeah, and really no changes overall to the DPS roles that we see. I mean, we do see Sombra got a slight speed boost, but overall, in terms of the major players that we have seen in this more brawl composition over the past semester, Reaper, May, you know, no real changes to them.
The one interesting one is the Echo change, where they made her duplicate a lot less safe, or when the duplicate fades, she no longer gets healed up to full health. She's instead put either to her current health or 100, whichever is greater. So that will be a bit more punishing for Echoes if they want to go the route we usually see, which is onto Reinhardt's or Divas or Zarya's, because of those high power ultimates that you can charge incredibly quickly, or even the Winston. That is the one where might actually be the biggest change, because now if you go onto a tank and you get burned through, you don't get to go back up to 200. If you were only at 100 health, you can immediately just fall over. So that's going to be the one I want to keep the most eye on. Will that change Echo's targets? As you mentioned, she's kind of that niche pick where you bring her out when you think they have the advantage. She's not as brawly as we see from other ones. So that's the one I want to keep my eye on. But for the most part, I like these changes for Blizzard. I like how aggressive that Blizzard has been with the experimental realm, bringing these changes in a lot more quickly. So be curious to see if any of them have an impact. I think we talked about Baptiste is probably the biggest one, but I still think Baptiste Lucio is just so strong, especially with Brawl. That's going to be harder unless you really remove Immortality Field or give it less health for it to really fall out of meta.
Well, not only are those balance changes on the mind of all our players as they get ready to play, of course they have to keep in mind the keys to the game brought to us by our very own Doc Haskell. Not only that, but they have to keep in mind the overall standings for the current match. So they have a lot to prepare for in this match. Doc's keys to the game in Overwatch is never take a fair fight, and that means to take fights in unexpected places when they are unprepared and when you can have ability advantages. Doc's keys to the game are brought to you by Count. Count Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud protection, account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. Quick and accurate identity trust decisions deliver safe payment, account creation, and login events while reducing digital fraud, chargebacks, false positives, and manual reviews. Count.com, Count.com.
Yeah, and I think that that unexpected fight one is definitely something you have to watch out for. Anytime Goblin is in the lineup, that is something he has really feasted on teams for. So if this lineup for Midland that we see on their screen here, if they're not ready for it, if they haven't been studying Boise State, he can definitely catch them off guard. And in times, even when it hasn't gone well, Plato's had the ability to make up for that and be able to kind of say, oh, everyone just focus down Goblin on that Reaper, which he's been playing a lot of, or anything else. I'm going to just absolutely pop off on McCree. So that's going to be really hard for Midland to make sure they know where Goblin is at all times, because if you even lose sight of him for one moment, that could be the difference between having a chance in a team fight and sitting at a respawn screen.
Yeah, these players are so good just in their general ability. Play to on these DPSs and the McCree, just his ability to click heads and just continue on a general, just the general trend of getting elimination after elimination. We're going to see how much that takes into a play as we start on Lijiang Tower in control.
I'd be curious to see what Boise State wants to go with. They've brought out the pharmacy on this map quite a few times, so I'll be very interested to see what their plan is. Really, we haven't seen either team lock in any comp, so it's going to be interesting to see what these teams want to come out with. As we see, it looks like it's going to be double bubble, maybe a pharmacy for Boise State. We quickly flashed on the screen there versus the Rhine Diva. So very interesting here. I like Boise State's aggressive comp, and you got to watch out for those boops if you're Midland, especially if they stick with the Pharah for Boise State.
Oh yeah, we have seen multiple eliminations come off of those boops. Some plays of the game brought out from them. So definitely, if you're looking at the way that our supports love to play, and not only that, but just on the Lucio in general, their ability to quickly dodge and just drag out those fights on the point, getting Boise State as much charge as they can on that center point by doing all that wall riding. They are amazing at that. So we do see a Far Mercy being brought out by Boise State, as Midland is the first one to get on the point, and Kel will be the first one to get the elimination onto the BAP, taking out Sky, leaving the main support not available for Midland right now. Boise State is going to also put the anti-nade onto Noro and get rid of him, as well as What and Execute. So that is going to be a great first engagement for Boise State, pushing onto the point and taking it from Midland.
Yeah, he just did not have an answer for that far. You see Goblin didn't take really any damage. His Chatter's going to get staggered out there. And that Sigma's something to keep an eye on for Midland. It's a comp they've messed around with on a couple of maps. Might not be the last time we see that Sigma. They will swap over to that Wrecking Balls. They want to get that dive going. Shiloh's going to be taken very low, but unfortunately Guac's going to fall off the edge right when the Nano is available.
Yeah, that's a very unfortunate jump for him. You do see Playdu trying to come in from behind, is going to be able to get the flank onto Sky and take him out, and is now looking out for that Lucio and the Winston as well. Noro is going to be eliminated by Kel, going on to the point to take out the Lucio. Boise State keeps control of the point as Midland has to reset again.
Yeah, that would have been a clean win for Boise State if that Nano would have gone on to Guac. Unfortunately, it came out right as he jumped off the edge. So that's going to be the only downside, but Boise State, you see they're sitting on the Rocket Barrage and the Pulse Bomb. They've got that grab coming up pretty soon. The only answer Midland has is the Deadeye, and we're going to want to watch Kel versus Execute. Whoever gets their ult first, if Boise State can get the grab off without a sound barrier, they'll easily win.
Using that barrage to get rid of Execute there is going to continue to push damage onto Sky, but gets taken out by Shiloh right as he does. But Guac and Kel pick up the slack, taking out Shiloh and Noro, and a quick res onto Goblin is going to put Boise State back up to full health. Valkyrie is also used by Asu, just able to get that res and allow Boise State to keep the point, going past about 75%, getting close to 80 here, and we're in final fight territory.
They should have maybe 2 fights here for Midland if they go quickly, but really they don't have any ults to back them up on. There's that grab, there's no sound barrier answer. This could be a quick wipe for Boise State, but Midland should have the ability for one more fight. They do get a boop off the edge onto a large bagel, but we're going to be in a last fight here. It's going to be pretty staggered as the eliminations are still rolling through, but Midland's going to get one final contest.
Minefield is going to be dropped onto the point to try to get some more damage onto Boise State, and Guac is pretty low on health right now, but is gradually healing up as the point is contested. The overtime clock goes, the sticky bomb is thrown out by Play2. Anti-nade also goes on to a few members of Boise State. Noro and Execute are taken out by Boise State, putting them at the advantage. Now Play2 is going to also be able to take out Shiloh and Sky as well. Boise State is maintaining a strong position here on the point. A triple for Play2, looking to turn it into a quadruple, and there Boise State gets the objective and the first win.
Yeah, pretty clean all around for Boise State. You see there's just sound barrier just chilling for Midland. Unfortunately, that's not going to carry over to the next map, and that's all really you need to know. If your Lucio doesn't get a single sound barrier out, you got absolutely rolled, and you didn't really stand a chance. So for Midland, things have got to change in a heartbeat. It looks like they're going to tease the Sigma there. It's something that I know on payload maps, especially Kings Row, that some of the teams in OWL have tried with the Sigma, and it's kind of a 3v3 split rush. It's not going to be as effective on Lijiang when you're playing just over that 1 point. So I don't think we'll see too much of their maybe strap going forward. It's really going to come down to Goblin versus What, who gets the better Symmetric Teleport, who gets set up first, and once that team wins, it's so hard to push onto Symmetric Teleport. So this is really a first fight, and it's probably GG for Boise State if they can win this one.
Boise State meets Midland in the middle here, and Goblin is going to get a pick onto Shiloh, taking the main damage away from Midland there. They're the first ones to be on the point as well. Like you said, that is a huge advantage as those turrets are going to be set up. And Boise State, the point unlocks in just a few seconds. They're going to be the first ones to control it.
Yeah, Boise State, I mean, you see they're going to have the ult advantage. Interesting that Sky wanted to go with that Moira, did not want to stay on the Baptiste. The Immortality could be really nice pushing into all these turrets. They are going to lose Goblin, though. They'll trade it out 1 for 1. Unfortunately, Boise State just kind of gets run down. Those turrets did not provide them the advantage that they were looking for.
And Play2's really is just going to go on point so he can reset along with the rest of the team. Asu is the last one to be taken out. We do see a swap from Goblin onto Junkrat right now. He's going to try to push as much damage kind of into that enclosed point as possible. And we actually see Chatter going off the edge of the map at an inopportune time, because that's going to allow Boise State for a few seconds here to have the slight advantage as Kel goes diving in there, and they push toward the point. Sky eliminated by Goblin. Chatter coming back with force, though, taking out Play 2 as Kel takes out Noro as well. It is back and forth and just about even for both of these teams as Primal Rage is used by Kel. He's going to be trying to push McCree here off of the edge, or at least get him down to low health. It's down to about half health and finishes him off. But Sky uses Coalescence onto a large bagel and forces Kel to jump off as well. So back and forth there, really competitive between both teams, but Midland still holding on to the point.
Yeah, I mean, I like the swap by Goblin. He's now on that May, but once you lose a fight with the Symmetra, you have to realize that that is not going to work anymore. Boise State, 3 ultimates here to work with. Kel even swapping off after the Primal Rages. We're going to get the Ant Matrix down. It's going to be a nice line of sight here for Midland. This is going to allow Boise State, though, to get onto the point and flip it, and now Midland's got to be the aggressor.
Midland isn't going to have any ultimate except that Deadeye available. Both are actually going to have the Deadeyes. The Maywall goes up trying to peel off both of the tanks. Deadeye comes out, is going to go onto the point, and 1 Deadeye for each as Noro gets taken out. Actually 2 there as one does go on to Kel's mech. And Kel is taken out by What shortly afterward. And we also see 2 boop off the side for Goblin and Guac. And that is going to be followed up by a punch to the face to Asu. And that is a support play of the game if I've ever seen one. Unfortunately for Boise State, it wasn't on their side.
Yeah, it was unfortunate that when a large bagel got the sound barrier out, it didn't land onto Guac, so your main tank just got burned through. Goblin's going to have that Blizzard. There's no answer here for Midland besides a huge shatter, so it's really going to come down to how landing this Blizzard as they trade off 1-for-1 for the DPS.
The Blizzard gets thrown out. Noro and What are taken out by Midland, and the Diva just gets mowed down right there. No chance going to show off that buff damage from the call mech right there. And now we see Shiloh is also taken out by a large bagel. Boise State pretty easily able to retake that point, and What is actually just going to go right onto the point to reset. Get with the rest of his team on the respawn. Boise State is going to coast past 50% here. Back on the point, but Midland just needs to take it once to get 97%. As we did say, we have multiple events going on right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. They have the Shatter Death Blossom combo. If they can land a huge Shatter from Noro, What's going to absolutely pop off? Guac has got to be able to block this Shatter, and that is not what you needed. 5-man Shatter, 4-man Death Blossom, and that's not the result Boise State wanted.
No, that is a team kill, and no time left to get back onto the point. Past the 99, Guac sure going to try with that Wrecking Ball, and maybe you can get there, but they're going to try to mow him down. They're able to stop him before he gets there.
I mean, like I said, these are some of the best teams in the NECC.
Yeah.
They were the championship match for a reason. That's why I said this is semifinal in name only. These teams are very talented, and Midland proved that for the most part they were just the better team on that map. They won multiple fights in a row, and it's going to be very interesting as we go to this map number 3 on Control, what they're going to pull out. Plato hovering the Doomfist. Maybe this has been a Junkrat Symmetra map for a lot of teams. It would not shock me if that ends up being the comp for both sides.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a surprise just how much more closed in this particular map is. We've seen a lot of interesting stories on this map, from Boise State staging a come from behind victory against UNLV to really kind of just playing with their food also, because they are more than happy to just push up to the first choke point and keep the other team at spawn if they are really just taking control of the whole match. But this very evenly matched teams here. You see Goblin and Play 2 are actually going to be going on to the Doomfist, who gets taken out first by Chatter. Chatter picks up a double by also getting rid of Guac. Shiloh is also going to be able to take out a large bagel. And the Immortality Field also taken out. And after his Immortality Field is taken out, Noro is able to take Asu out. Goblin is also going to get booped right there. And the first match is going to be pretty easily going over to Midland.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I just don't think the Doomfist has been Boise State's thing. It just has not really ever worked at all for them, no matter when they pulled it out. So I do like Plato swapping around a little bit. Maybe thought the Symmetra would work, but they're pushing in, so he's going to end up on that Reaper. He's going to be behind as a Coalescence does come out. Going to have to be all on Guac, though. He's got to block this Shatter, and a huge Riptire would do a lot for Boise State. They get 2, and that's going to give them momentum. They immediately amp it up, and they want to rush this point.
They are going to be rushing onto the point as Midland found themselves all caught up in that choke point. Kel is going to be taking out Shiloh and Execute as well, picking up that double, and the only one left is that Diva on the point, is quickly going to be taken out by Guac and pinned on the other Reinhardt. Boise State takes the point back by force, has an Earth Shatter available to them right now. They are going to start their counter ticking up.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to the exact same thing we just saw. Shiloh's got the Riptire. Goblin picked off 2, and that immediately allowed Boise State to push to the point. So we're watching Shiloh's Riptire. If it gets 2, it's probably a Midland fight victory. If Boise State can take it out and deal with it, then they're not going to be able to win here. Also, Guac versus Noro both have Shatter. Going to come down to that. Amp Matrix comes down, 4-man Shatter for Noro. He's just been the better Ryan so far in our first map.
Yeah, that Shatter has enabled so many great plays, not only taking this point, but that Death Blossom we saw last round as well. Midland easily taking the point back. Boise State, yeah, Guac does have the opportunity to prove maybe he can get a really good Shatter onto the other team. That would be a nice kind of show of force, I suppose. Kel also having the Diva Bomb available, so maybe a potential combo with that, but a Diva Bomb is going to be thrown out by Shatter right away. Isn't going to pick up anybody, but stops Boise State pushing them back, and that is another great Death Blossom by What, just stopping Boise State before they can even try, and unfortunately for Guac, he burned his Shatter as well.
He actually landed the Shatter onto 3. It was a great Shatter for Guac. The problem was the team was so split up. That's the power of the Diva Bomb. It's usually not an elimination tool. It's just a control tool. It's a chaos tool in trying to split the team up. That's exactly what they did. They got Kel, lost his mech. He's going to throw his bomb in. He needs something huge here, not able to find it. Soundbarrier going to come out from both sides. Probably a better play there for Midland to be able to defend against this Riptire, and it looks like Guac and Goblin just get a pair, but Boise State's got to regroup, and they get one more fight. Plato needs a huge Death Blossom here, or Boise State's going to lose the first game.
Well, he did a good job on getting a flank on the back line thus far, and he's also going to be able to take out Shiloh, but not before Execute takes him out as well. Shatter eliminated by Kel, and we see the Lucio right on top of the point there, keeping it going for Midland as we head into overtime there. Asu is able to eliminate Execute here, and we also see What taken out as well. Now the point goes back to Boise State with no real no ultimates available to Midland except that Diva Bomb, which is coming online very shortly. Boise State does have the advantage here, though, in what they want to use for their ults.
And we talk about this all the time for Boise State when they're in a situation. Midland's got to take a dry fight, bait multiple ults out for Boise State, and then come back on another fight. Boise State cannot win in just one. They're going to throw all of their ults out, and I don't know if I like that play for Boise State.
It is able to stop Midland, though, but that is a trade that certainly Midland isn't going to mind having, just throwing one Diva Bomb out and getting everyone on Boise State to press that Q. Boise State is able to hold on to the point, but at what cost is the real question, is none of their charges on the ultimates are really past 60%. Kel is the only one close, and we do see that all-important Riptire for Shiloh going to be coming online very fast here. Goblin, as we see him on the back line, just trying to pepper any sort of damage onto the point, and Guac with a great Flame Strike is able to take out Shiloh before he can use that Riptire. It is still even, though, for both teams right now, as we see Shatter going very low on health. Play2 able to get a double, taking out Sky, and What, and a Diva Bomb from Kel is also going to pick up Shatter. And that is a great stagger onto Midland, as only Shiloh's available, has to wait, and this is going to be the Riptire to decide all Riptires, Fish.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the Riptire and the Shatter, and they're just not even going to get there. Yeah, they just absolutely forget about the point. They don't get there in time, and that was just a great job there by Plato. Nobody was able to get to him. He just spammed grenades the whole time, and Boise State comes out with the win. But, I mean, as you called, this is going to be the Lucio play of the game. Blizzard loves their environmental kills, and anytime you pick up 2, unless apparently your Beanie Bum last night who got 4 and didn't even get a sniff for play of the match. I mean, environmental kills are just absolutely loved by Blizzard's Potog feature.
Well, that is the first round in this semifinal. Boise State versus Midland. We also see Idaho's Code to Success offering free on-campus and online summer coding programs. You can register at idahocodes.org today to find out more information. So now we move into the second match, which is going to be decided by Midland. I see the score here for play versus, though not NECC right now. So I know different tournaments kind of like to have different maps in the second round. Sometimes we see 2 CP, unfortunately, but sometimes we also see hybrid or escort coming out in the second round.
Yeah, and it will be interesting because this is now a best of 5. NECC in the regular season only played 3 maps. They were the tournament that played all 3 regardless of scores. So it will be interesting to see where they want to slot Assault into, because usually we never saw Assault in the regular season. We just saw Control, Hybrid, and Escort. So it is interesting, as you pointed out. Some tournaments like to put it second. Some tournaments like to go to the standard format of putting it fourth. So it'll be interesting to see, since it's the first time we're seeing Assault in the NECC, where they want to slot it. I like it being slotted fourth. I just think, a lot of players don't like the mode, so having to be forced to play it, it's almost like a bonus. Hey, 3-0 the team, so you don't have to play Assault. So I'd like to see it fourth. Just put Hybrid and Escort. You can flip a coin on depending on what order you want to go in. Usually it's Hybrid second, just so we can get King's Row out of the way, and that's what I'm totally expecting here, honestly, is going to be Hybrid. But we'll have to wait and see.
It is something to see how many tournaments have really kind of pushed Assault up in the, maybe just as giving it a final swan song, I suppose, before it heads off with Overwatch 2 looming and Assault being taken out. But if Assault is a second map, we have seen a lot of Temple of Anubis, and Junkrat just kind of destroys on that map. How many teams have we seen take that left route over and over and over again without realizing just how easy it is for Junkrat to put that Riptire in there and just throw those bombs into that tight corridor? If there's any Assault map that just kind of gets the biggest nefarious reputation, it's Temple of Anubis.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Junkrats absolutely basically 1v6 just walking into that grenade spam. It also does have that sort of sniper-esque feel to it, where a good Widowmaker attacking can absolutely shut down a team, or a good defense Widowmaker or Ashe can absolutely just leave a team stranded and spawn with no hope. So Temple of Anubis definitely maybe the most snowbally of the maps because of how tightly compact the second point is. If you can come in and roll, it's super, super easy. If you're struggling, you barely get first point, and then you're trying to say, all right, how do we make a play on second point? It is very, very frustrating. And Assault also is the one Overwatch game where there really is no benefit to trading 2 for 1 or 3 for 1 or even 1 for 1, because it's so punishing for the attacking team, which I think is a big reason why players don't like it, why they're getting rid of it. It is so punishing on that second point for the attacking team to lose a member just because of how different the spawns are and the defenders having such an advantage. So I would love to see Assault fourth. Like I said, I think it's too snowbally, it's too weird. It gives teams really an incentive to 3-0 besides the normal incentive of 3-0ing teams. So it'd be curious to see where they want to put it in the order. I'm expecting Hybrid or Escort, but it is just one of those modes where you have to absolutely roll a team, and your DPS, who usually can say, hey, I just want 2 for 1, that's a perfectly good trade, or hey, you lost my life, but I got the main support, that's a great trade as well. They can't take those trades anymore, and it leads to a very, very cautiously punishing game style, and I think that's why whenever Overwatch 2 comes out,
I was about to say, though, if Midland wants to go with what is considered precedent, then choosing King's Row is going to be the choice that we all know and we're familiar with, I'll say. Maybe not love, because we do it so much often, but there is a lot just in terms of spectating that King's Row gives, because that first point is so hard to hold over with the spawns being set so far away from it, that it really does lend itself to just coming down to that final point before in the factory. And that leads us to a lot of very close matches on King's Row.
Yeah, and it will be interesting. Like I said, this is where you see the Sigma come out. It's sort of a split rush comp that has kind of been weaving its way in through some top-level Overwatch leagues. You're going to be looking at Ryan, Sigma, McCree, May, BAP, and Lucio. Now, this was before the BAP changes, but basically Midland, if they run this comp, is going to be looking to 3v3, and from what I've been told, your whole goal defending against this comp is to absolutely obliterate the Sigma. As soon as the Sigma dies, this comp absolutely falls apart. So if Midland wants to run it, keep an eye on Sigma, keep an eye on Chatter, who's going to be most likely playing it. If he dies early, Midland's attack will absolutely fall apart, and that's what you're going to want to watch here on King's Row. That's probably why Midland picked it, because it's a comp that they've been trying out in the quarterfinals of the NECC, and you see that Sigma, so they're most likely going to try maybe a split rush here. They have the Reaper instead, so watch Chatter on that Sigma. If he dies early, it's GG, and Boise State's going to win this first fight.
Well, that's exactly who Play2 is focusing on right now, throwing out that Dynamite, getting able a little bit of chip damage onto Chatter as well, but it's going to be Goblin's Torp Turret that's taken out first. And Goblin is also down to half health. We also see right over, Kel is just going to go right onto the point, gets mowed down very fast. And Boise State not really having a successful defense of this first point. Like I said, it is just a very hard point to hold. And with over 5.5 minutes, Midland's going to be pushing this payload.
Yeah, Chatter never died. I mean, he was the focus there in that comp. So when it doesn't work, Midland's going to win. And Boise State does have their sort of unique comp that they showed, where they have that Orisa Diva and they try and just kite teams around the point. But teams have started to figure this one out. When it first was kind of debuted for us, for Boise State, they were holding teams for 3-4 minutes at times, not even letting teams cap the first point. Starting to feel like teams are figuring this one out. We do see there's an Ant Matrix up, so Boise State's got to be careful. Sky can throw that down and absolutely force Boise State to line of sight.
Yeah, they are. You can see Kel just rushing back immediately. We do see Plato on that second level, though, trying to get some sort of pick, and Kel is going to come down from there, take out Execute, as well as Guak soon follows him. A punch to Noro is also going to go on to Shiloh and get Kel with a triple there. The only thing back from Midland was that one elimination from Shiloh, but Boise State able to hold them right here, and they're going to have to go back to spawn and try again.
You don't really see many ults coming out as Shiloh nearly just gets picked off the spawn. So Boise State's got to be careful that they don't go too aggressive. You see the Molten Core is almost up. The Diva Bomb is up. Execute D is a lot closer to the sound barrier than a large bagel is. So that would be the one advantage Midland's going to have. Plus they have multiple ults, but know what means it's going to probably be a reset unless they want to maybe try and YOLO it with the Gravitic Flux like they will.
And Gravitic Flux comes out onto Boise, but Execute is taken out by Play2. Molten Core also is going to go right down. He does get stunned, but he is able to get a lot of that Molten Liquid up onto the main street here. It's going to force Chatter into that narrow hallway, going to be taken out by Cal. Torp Turret also takes out Noro. Shiloh's the next to fall, thanks to Play2. And now that Diva Bomb is also available to Cal. Gets charged up. Bob is going to be coming online as well here very shortly.
Yeah, you see Chatter's going to swap off. He's going to go over to the Diva. They have that Death Blossom available and what's gotten pretty insane value. They probably should have saved either a Gravitic or a Shatter for it. It was kind of a bad fight for Midland there, but they've got the aggro sound barrier and they might throw it out just right on top of the Death Blossom.
Bob is also going to be going out onto the play field. Goblin's taken out, and Bob takes out the Immortality field. Beat is used by Lucio. Amp Matrix comes down from Asu. Goblin is able to take out Noro, get the early advantage. Deep Bomb also thrown out, but doesn't take anyone out. Instead, Shiloh is able to get rid of Guak, and the Goblin turret is taken out by the Death Blossom. I guess it got something. And Play2 also answers that back by taking out Guak back and forth on the point, which still hasn't been pushed. Boise State is still trying to mount their defense here. Midland is able to reset and get back up to full strength. They got to watch out for that Deadeye, and was able to get out of the way at the last moment. Though after that Deadeye, Kel is taken out with a boot onto Asu as well. Midland able to take the point again, approaching the checkpoint.
Yeah, no ults really up for Boise State. They have the Molten Core and a Shatter, but Noro's going to have his Shatter as well, and so far he has been the superior Ryan. So I'll be curious if Boise State wants to contest it. If they do, if that Shatter's not blocked, Boise State's immediately going to lose this fight. So a lot of pressure on Guak, who's almost dead already.
Goblin is using the Molten Core again, is going to push it out toward Midland. Amp Matrix comes down from Sky. Kel is taken out of his mech as Goblin is able to get elimination onto what their Immortality field is taken out by Goblin. Quickly followed by Play2 and a large bagel, taking out Noro and Execute. Shiloh, Sky, and Shatter also taken away. And Boise State able to stop them just 1.7 meters before the checkpoint.
Yeah, Midland held on to a lot of their ults, which is kind of interesting. They are going to have the Shatter and the Diva Bomb. They'll also have that sound barrier as well. I mean, you look at Boise State, nothing is even close besides an Ant Matrix. So Asu's going to need a great Ant Matrix here. If they can get a pick and reset Midland, that'll buy him some ult charge. But otherwise, Boise State, unfortunately, is just going to lose to the power of 3 ultimates versus 1.
Well, we will have to see if it's just the power of 3 ultimates versus 1 here. Asu only having that Amp Matrix is going to throw it down. And Execute is the first one picked off, so that sound barrier not going to be able to be used now. Now it might be up to Noro and Chatter. Noro going down low on health. Immortality Field is thrown out, taken out by Kel. And now Chatter is able to get the elimination onto Play 2. Diva Bomb thrown out, doesn't pick up anybody. Goblin getting a pick onto Shiloh. Answered back by Guac getting taken out. And a Shatter is going to come on to Boise State. And now Noro using that Shatter to take out members of Boise State. Goblin and Guac being taken out there. Now Kel is going to be able to get back into that. And there's that added damage that we see from the Call Mech being able to take out Execute. Noro also taken out by Asu. And you know what? As much as we said that was probably a meme, that damage being bumped up, it sure helped Boise State take that engagement back.
Yeah, it is an interesting one because it's really helpful for times like that. Blizzard intended it to be for when you're trying to stagger a Diva and give them a fighting chance, but as you mentioned, it really is the remeching after a Diva Bomb that's going to be what you want to keep an eye out for. But Boise State has multiple ults. Midland's going to have a huge Death Blossom here, so got to find a stun if you're Glock or a charge or something, because if one gets a Death Blossom, that's the only way you lose. He immediately picks up one, gets taken out.
Yeah, Goblin getting a great double there onto both DPSs of Midland. Kel taking out Noro as well. Plato able to get the elimination onto Sky. Also throws out the Dynamite, able to pick up a triple there, stopping Midland before they get and keeping them to only 1 point, just barely.
Yeah, Midland just had, really it's going to come back to that fight where they had the 3 ultimates. They had the Shatter, the Diva Bomb, and the Sound Barrier. Boise State only had the Amp Matrix. Asu throws down that Amp Matrix, and they get a huge pick onto Execute, who doesn't get the Sound Barrier off, ends up having to race back out of spawn and throw that Sound Barrier down. If they aggro Sound Barrier onto the Boise State Amp Matrix, or just line of sight and then aggro Sound Barrier, Midland probably at least 2 caps, and then you have no idea what happens here. So that's really going to come down to just a poor support play, poor positioning for Execute to even be in range of being taken out, or in line of sight, I should say, of that Amp Matrix. And that's going to allow Boise State a very, very winnable King's Row map.
Ready for battle.
Boise State is going to be pulling out the Farm Mercy here.
Not the
Plato.
Doomfist. Just hasn't worked.
It
just
hasn't worked. Maybe he's trying to, I don't know, maybe the next time he takes on Silk from UNLV, he's just trying to build up his Doomfist skills.
He wouldn't be the first person in the Mountain West we've seen who thinks that they can Doomfist versus Doomfist Silk Carpet, but it just hasn't worked. Maybe it's something Boise State's been trying to practice. Maybe they do want to have the Doomfist versus Doomfist for UNLV, who we might see in the Mountain West playoffs if we're able to get there. But it just hasn't had any success for Boise State when it's been brought out. So I'm really hoping that Plato's going to be able to swap off this and pick up the McCree or something else, because it hasn't gotten that value that you'd want for a Boise State DPS, especially for Plato, who has usually been the yin to the yang for Goblin.
Oh, talking about DPS value, Goblin's trying to get some right here, putting a lot of damage around the statue onto Midland. It's going to be going up, and they're going to find themselves pinched between Kel and the Farm Mercy, but that's not going to let them really give up the point here, as Shiloh is able to take out Plato without any real damage. So I guess this just adds to your point, Bishop swapping off the Doomfist, because that really didn't do anything for Boise. There we go, on to May.
Yeah, Boise State kind of got caught. You saw how far up that Immortality Field was from Asu, and you can kind of feel that 10%, especially when just the Immortality Field comes down. You see how low the 10% minimum health bar is now, down from 20. So that's a huge nerf, and unfortunately Boise State just didn't get the value from that Doomfist. You need to pick onto that back line in order to make it work, but Goblin just also hasn't gotten that much rocket charge. He's only at 56%. He's not even close to Shiloh, who's up to 88. So Boise State just not gotten the pharmacy value they want.
Well, it is able to pick up Sky there, and that might be the first of a successful push for Boise State. It is going to be able to take out what? The Deadeye is brought out by Shiloh, but really only a zoning Deadeye, only able to take out Kel's mech here. And now Plato and Goblin able to get 2 eliminations onto Execute and Shiloh. And with Chatter also taking down, that is a successful point take for Boise State. And they're not going to have as much time as Midland did when they took it. They're not going to have 5 minutes, 30 seconds. But they're going to have just about 5 minutes to get to just before the first checkpoint.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's going to come down to this first fight because we've seen if teams lose the first fight here, it's so easy for the defending team to hold you in this archway for a long time. So a huge rocket barrage would be a long way for Boise State, and unfortunately, it's not the start you want when losing your main tank and then Goblin just getting one with that rocket barrage. And this could be a bad start for Boise State if they're trying to win this match.
They're trying to turn it around by rezzing Guac, but Chatter and What able to keep the pressure going on. Kel able to get a pick onto Noro there, but Boise State is finding themselves all split up here and staggered. They're just going to have to... Asu does get back on the point, though, to just push it a little bit farther, but they're still waiting on that respawn. If Asu finds himself just all alone here on this point, is just going to kind of take advantage of that choke to get some natural cover there and keep pushing it up. Now Boise State is back up to full strength here, but they do find themselves with 3 ultimates to Midland's 3 as well. As Gravitic Flux is going to be thrown up, is able to get the May, and who's going to go into freezing, is going to throw out the Blizzard as a Shatter. It's also used by Guac, taking out What, and Plato gets the pick onto Noro. Chatter is answering that back with the pick onto Goblin, who is swapped back to the Doomfist and isn't really making an impact with it. And now Shiloh is eliminated by Guac. Boise State getting very close to that checkpoint.
You see Kel's going to run it down there, trying to take out a couple more. But Diva Bombs here, Boise State might just have a free path to victory because it's going to just zone all of Midland. So I'm kind of shocked that Kel wanted to hold on to that, because with the payload so close, if you just yoink a Diva Bomb down there we go. That's going to force Midland to make a decision. Plus the Amp Matrix, though, so they were already line of sighting. There's that huge remake value, and that absolutely shuts down Watt, who wanted a backline flank, and just like that, Boise State's on match point.
Well, the balance change is certainly coming into play, giving Boise State both on the defense and offense great picks there from that Remac. It's going to be Goblin who takes the play of the game as Torb, though.
Yeah, just he got a ton of Molten Core value, and really, I mean, this is just a classic Torbjorn play of the game. He's not even looking at the fight. He's just getting eliminations and getting damage. His turret actually taking down What mid-Death Blossom, and that was really the fight turner there. And really a great job by Boise State. I think Midland made a couple of mistakes that made that a very winnable map, especially not being able to cap second point, because who knows what could have happened after that. So a great job by Boise State responding, and now the Broncos are on match point, and you'd have to think we're going to Escort next.
Yeah, Escort would be probably the next choice here. We have seen, the ones that we really haven't seen that much are Dorado and Junkertown, but we have seen, those have really been the ones we haven't seen.
Yeah, we haven't seen Junkertown in quite a long time. We've seen a little bit of Dorado. Mainly Havana has been the top choice for these teams. So I'll be curious to see where Midland wants to go. Like I said, I think they thought they had a sneaky comp to throw out on Boise State, and it worked for a little bit of time. But really, it just comes down to, unfortunately, for Executi, and I mean, this has been talked about a lot on this channel for Overwatch, is Sound Barrier such a powerful ultimate that when you make a huge mistake with it, it is so painstakingly obvious. I mean, very rarely did Executi get off a Sound Barrier on those control maps. He absolutely just flubs one there where he isn't able to get one that could have led to second point. So it's really going to be on Midland to just get better value out of those Sound Barriers, because if they keep whiffing on Sound Barriers, not getting them out at the right times when Boise State doesn't really have an answer for all those shields, I think Boise State's going to take it. So a lot of pressure here on Midland to try and take a little bit of a breather and say, all right, how do we get better value from our Lucio? Because right now it's just not happening.
It would be fitting if they were able to sort of cap off the semifinal on the same map that Quidgeable got that amazing team wipe. So it would be a map of good memories for Boise State if they were able to win on Havana. And the other interesting thing about Havana is just that leading up to the first point there, and that great vantage point over the street that you get coming out. But actually, no, I'm gonna have to save that thought, because Temple of Anuba, which we talked about, so yeah, we have already kind of given our analysis of that particular map.
Interesting rotation here. I mean, I think it is kind of unique to split up the payload maps, because the Hybrid and Escort are so painstakingly similar that it is kind of a nice little refresher here. So honestly, I kind of like this format of throwing 2 CP in that middle to kind of just jolt things up. But yeah, we talked about this. This is probably one of the most snowbally assault maps, that second point, which we're kind of getting an advantage point of here in the map preview, is just so hard to take unless you're able to just roll through, because the defenders spawn so close and there's so many different ways they can get to that point. So it's going to come down to who can roll the hardest off of first point. And the other thing you got to watch out for is the team doesn't roll. The DPS especially cannot be trading if you're attacking here. If you're going 1 for 1 or even 2 for 1, that's not the best play, because you're all the way back in spawn. By the time you get back, both members you killed have already returned to their team and been in the fight for 5 seconds or so. So a lot of pressure, especially for a player like Goblin, who, as we've talked about, especially his Reaper, 30 deaths per 10, 10 deaths per 10. You can't have stats like that on Assault, because just the second point is going to be almost impossible to cap, even if you're going 3 for 1.
We are heading into Temple of Anubis for the third round. It is match point for Boise, and they will have really been patting themselves on the back, winning the semifinal, which, as Fish said, just due to the general strengths of the two teams meeting here, it might as well just be final. We see Boise State is going to be bringing out Junkrat, as Plato also brings out the Ashe there. Midland is going to be using that Widowmaker there, but still no pick from Shiloh. Is actually going to be going on to Doomfist. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Midland wants to approach this. You see Boise State with the double shield comp there, and we talked about the value a Junkrat is able to get in. I think
on defense.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how What does, because you see this little ledge right here. If What's able to land there and get shots off just uninterrupted, he can absolutely just rip through Boise State's defense, especially if you see Asu back there, if he leaves himself exposed. So eventually Shiloh will switch off to that Tracer, but it's going to come down to Goblin maybe being able to get some of that grenade spam, especially depending on the route Midland takes versus What. If he can get some huge headshots there, that'll open up first point in a hurry.
Do they go left? And that is the route that Shiloh picks there, trying to get a pick onto Boise State. Does the rest of the team follow? No, they are going to be taking the center route as What heads up, trying to get a pick off from that vantage point. The pick is going to be going on to Plato from Noro there, forcing Boise State to go back to the point. And now that that key section that Junkrat really kind of rules on has been taken out, that is going to spell some good things for Midland if they can keep the elimination train going here. They are able to get the pick onto a large bagel. Goblin able to take out Noro, evening it up somewhat, but we do see the Zarya going on to the point here, followed by the other members of Midland. Boise State all bunched up here is going to be coming out with the help of that shield from Block place down. They don't want to get too much charge onto that Zarya there. And now they are back into that enclosed spot. Plato is taken out by Shiloh. Nano also used by Sky. Chatter taking out Asu, and this is going to have to be a first point given up.
Yeah, I mean, they did at least get the Nano out, so they're not able to get that Nano Winston right into the Primal Rage to push on to second point, which is very, very helpful. But this is really going to be the deciding factor here, is how hard can Midland, with this 3 ult advantage. Boise State has no answer for this grab right now. The large bagel is very far away from this Transcendence. That is about the only answer Boise State has, and he's even going to swap off. So Chatter with one huge grab could already end this map for Midland.
One huge grab is all it could take. His infrared sights are used. A huge Riptire would be great for Goblin right now, but gets hit with the anti-nade as he's using the tire. And that, unfortunately for him, puts Midland at a good advantage here. They're using all of their ultimates. Both the Graviton Surge and the Primal Rage is going to be popped. But here we go onto the second point, which, like you said, has such a quick respawn for the defending team. It can be really hard to take it, although they've already gotten 2 ticks there with What Noro taking out Goblin and Asu. Boise State is just staggering back on there. Kel does have his Gravitic Flux. Is he going to even be able to use it, though, as he's being taken out by Noro before he can use it? Plato doing some good work, though, now getting some of that Doomfist, getting some value out of the Doomfist, getting a triple there on the point. Gives Boise State just a bit of breathing room, but still over 4 minutes, 30 seconds left to defend the point.
Yeah, I mean, this just really speaks to how just ridiculous 2CP is. I mean, Midland threw every ult at Boise State, absolutely wiped the floor with them, just couldn't get the full team kill. You got staggered kills, Boise State gets back, they stopped them 2 ticks in, and it's going to be hard for Midland now because they're only going to have that pulse bomb, and Boise State has this Gravitic Flux that Kel's going to throw out.
Throws it out and takes out Executi with it. Boise State is going to move right in there with that one support not available to Midland. What is taken out by Goblin, and they are pushing them all the way back to the first point here, going right up to this choke to hold them, making a lot of space for themselves. Noro does charge up the Primal Rage. Plato has Meteor Strike available. Plato has Meteor Strike available, and they are going to wait for the next push from Midland.
Midland's going to have the nano. They're going to be able to nano right onto Noro, and that's going to be a very, very dangerous monkey. It's a great pick for Plato, finally getting that value that we've looked for on that Doomfist. The double kill immediately allows Boise State to run down Midland. And just unfortunately for Boise State, great fight, but there's still over 3 minutes left, so Midland's going to have multiple attempts, and they're easily going to be able to full swap this comp. I think even Sky can swap off. He's trying to hold on to that nano, but just swap off and set up your ults for another fight in a minute or two.
Well, Midland doesn't need to take the full point. All they need is just one more tick, so they can have a similar push like the one that they had last time. That will be enough for them. They decide to take the side right here, not before Plato gets a pick onto what? And that pick is going to give Boise State the screen that they need. We actually see a little bit of a split push here coming, and we see the nano boosted Ryan coming on, but gets stunned before he can get to the point, and is taken out by Asu. And now they are going into the back line, taking out both supports from Midland University. And just, it started with that one pick, and then Midland just found themselves completely split up and non-coordinated.
Yeah, and like I said it right there, that was so just poor for Midland to say, oh, we need to hold on to this nano. You could have just gone on to the Baptiste from the start and already had that amp matrix built up. So using that nano, sure, it got Noro 60% charge, but I think that was just kind of a really poor fight and wasted a lot of time, as they're going to walk right into a Gravitic Flux.
They walk right into that Gravitic Flux. It does take out Immortality Fear, followed by the Death Blossom. There's a 5-person Death Blossom from Goblin, tearing through Midland. Almost a team kill, but hey, I'll take 5-person Death Blossom any day.
Yeah, only problem for Boise State is they committed the rally as well, which I don't think they needed to use, and now they're not going to have any defensive ult here for quite a while. They're only going to have the Primal Rage available from Guac, so it's nice and it's flashy, but that fight actually might have cost Boise State because of how many ults they committed, because they really only needed the Gravitic Flux and the Death Blossom.
Yeah, that is a great point right there. And speaking of ultimates, the Shatter coming online for Noro. Boise State going back here. The Shatter does come on to Boise State, is taking out a large bagel, and there's the opening for Midland they were looking for. And Guac not able to use his Primal Rage. Amp Matrix is thrown down by Asu, but it is only going to pick up what? And they only need one tick, so just a few more seconds and they can cap off this point. Are they able to do it? They're very close. The respawn's coming in from Boise State. Goblin and a large bagel taken out there now. Guac mode down by Noro. Deadeye coming out from Shiloh there. It is just one after the other onto the point. Flashbang going on to Cal, followed by Plato from Noro. And Execute also taking out Asu. It is just one after the other onto the point, showing how quick the respawn is. Midland finally breaking through though, able to get 2.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that really has to go back to, you know, not to toot my own horn, exactly what I said. I mean, yes, that 5-man Death Blossom probably going to be on Idaho Army National Guard top 5 plays. It was a fantastic play for Plato. But the problem is you don't, or from Goblin, excuse me. You don't have a rally anymore. You did not need to rally that fight. It was just a aggro rally, and I mean, on paper at the time it looked right, but then you had no defensive ability to stop just a full shove from Midland. So unfortunately, Boise State just got a little bit too Q happy, and it's a great highlight. Throw it down on your YouTube highlight package, but in the end, that fight is probably what lost them this map, because they had nothing left because they committed so much, and because Midland captured that point so quickly, because they had over 5 minutes, you have to be very, very careful if you're Boise State when you commit those ultimates, because times like that, you have to have more than just a Primal Rage available.
Now, this is an interesting pick from Chatter. The first time we are seeing Roadhog come out, which did get a pretty big buff to his damage, going from 6 to 6.6 per projectile damage from him. And yeah, I've seen, going to be swapping out there, so that just gave me the opportunity to speak about Roadhog's buff that went on.
Yeah, I mean, the Roadhog could be interesting, especially if Boise State didn't have the May and Boise State wanted to push what would be to the right, Boise State's left through those arches. The Roadhog could maybe get a huge hook, but they're going to avoid it. I think it's going to come down, once again, what on that Widowmaker defensively. If he's able to get a huge headshot onto somebody for Boise State, especially Asu or a large bagel, that could really slow down Boise State's push, because we know how hard it is, and just like that, almost like I knew what I was talking about there. Huge headshot onto Asu, and Boise State's got to reset.
This is just you are nailing the predictions left and right for Temple of Anubis.
You know, it's like I've been calling this game for a few years now here, Jim.
I certainly wouldn't doubt that. Boise State taking this left route here, all bunched up. And no Junkrat to worry about, though, from Midland. They're instead just going to set up on the second level here. D.Va is thinking about kind of jumping in there, but Noro is able to take out a large bagel, leaving Boise State in a very awkward position here, especially as that Reaper is split up. All alone, trying to get a flank, is not going to find it against Chatter. Boise State is probably just going to have to go for a reset here. They're too split up, and they can't make a push all at once.
Yeah, and it really is going to be hard for Boise State. The more time they lose on first point means that second point fights become more and more difficult. And we saw that Midland took nearly 5 minutes to get that second point. So Boise State, with that inability to snowball, already sitting behind. You see Goblins now swapped over to that Widow. Great May wall there. They're going to get the Maul onto a tank for Midland. They just aren't able to get the elimination. Finally, they take down Shiloh, and they're going to be able to start pushing in.
They start pushing in. Chatter very low on health, going to be taken out of the mech. Goblin takes Chatter out before that mech damage can come through. Kel also able to eliminate what? And now Amp Matrix thrown down by Sky, but it's going to be met with the May here, taken out in midair. And Goblin also getting the shot onto Noro. Boise State capturing the first point and also burning off that Amp Matrix from the BAP. They aren't going to have as much time to try to tie it up here as Midland did.
Yeah, only 2 minutes. Boise State's going to have to very push, incredibly fast. You can hear the arena going crazy for the Madden Championship. We'll get you an update on that. But right now, Boise State, they popped the infrared sight. They're going to need a huge blizzard here from Plato, where it's going to be a reset, and Boise State with 4.5 minutes is going to be really hard pressed.
Well, hopefully Boise State can kind of maybe soak up some of that positive energy that Madden is bringing right now as they try to push on to the second point. The wall is coming up, as well as the Blizzard and Matrix. Shatter coming on to Midland there. Follow-up as the Immortality Field isn't going to come through, as that Immortality Field was thrown down. A quick swap onto the Tracer from Watt. That charge is missed by the Reinhardt. Now Asu and Guak are taken out, and this is just how hard this second point is to take. Boise State using all of their ultimates, but isn't going to find even one tick for it.
Yeah, and you'll notice the biggest difference between Boise State and Midland. Midland, through all of their ults, they got 2 ticks. That made the rest of the fights really easy. Boise State didn't get anything, and now you see Midland sitting on 4 ults, and now it comes down to the exact opposite scenario we talked about. Boise State lost this map, or lost it defending, because they used too many ults at one time. Midland has to be careful. Do not overcommit your ults, especially that sound barrier, or Boise State could roll the next fight. Midland has to be very cautious with what ults they want to use in this fight.
It can be tempting to try to get that flashy play, as Deadeye and Amp Matrix are going to be thrown down, but really the only ultimates used. Kel is taken out of his mechs, going to be brought down to Pilot D.Va right now, and we see Goblin trying to take out Shatter, who does have the D.Va bomb available. Immortality Field thrown down. The only elimination is Plato taking out Watt and the Flame Strike onto Noro, but Shiloh doing great work on that McCree, taking out Plato and Goblin, forcing Boise State to go back. And Midland, as you said, being disciplined with that ult usage, still having the D.Va bomb and the sound barrier available for this next push.
Yeah, and I mean, that is exactly what I kind of challenged Executy to do going into this match. He needed to get better with these sound barriers, and he showed great restraint. He's honestly shown too much restraint today, and that's why Midland's down 2-0, but he shows great restraint there to hold onto that sound barrier, so now he can answer Boise State's sound barrier with his own if he needs to. He can also answer a huge shatter from Guak if he needs to, so I love that. Now it's going to be for Midland. Can they dodge a shatter from Guak? Noro's been the better Ryan so far, but one shatter can change the thing, as they're going to immediately lose 2, and that's a bad sound barrier from Executi, as Boise State can just retreat.
Boise State is going to be retreating with 5, possibly 6 ultimates. Kel is brought down to Pilot D.Va, though. Guak is taken out by Noro. It is just another reset for Boise State. And Midland has charged up all of their ultimates now, so all that time Boise State spent waiting to have the ultimate advantage, Midland has played against them very well in that regard.
Well, the ults are 5-5, and Boise State's sixth ult is leading 64% to 14. So there is a chance here if you're Boise State, if you really kind of want to meme, is just save up for all 6 ults and slam them all together. But right now it's going to be Shatter be Shatter as the Deadeye comes out. Noro versus Guac. Whoever wins is going to win this fight.
Shiloh bringing out the Deadeye, more of a zoning Deadeye, though. Boise State pushed off toward the left, a little bit split up by that as Amp Matrix and Riptire coming out of double Flame Strike, but a double Riptire answering it back. And what becoming the star player for Midland University on defense there, stopping Boise State right in its tracks. Plato taken out by Shatter, and that was Boise State's best opportunity to try to take the point, stopped in its tracks by what's Riptire.
Yeah, unfortunately, even though the Shatter didn't have huge value, it was a great Riptire, as you mentioned there, from what that really stopped Boise State. And we just see how hard it is to attack this point because the defenders have so much of an advantage. So Boise State's going to have a huge fight win here. They're only going to have a Shatter, so Guac's got to go absolutely Super Saiyan here and land a huge one as Shatter's going to try and force him off with the Diva Bomb.
Diva Bomb heads out. Goblin uses a Death Blossom, only able to take out the Immortality Field. Boise State forced to try to push onto the point here to try to get anything, but the defense is so strong from Midland is what throws out the mine onto Plato. A double from Shatter coming onto both tanks for Boise State, only having the Amp Matrix available to them as we head into more desperation tactics now. One after the other onto the point, trying to get anything as the Junkrat spam comes out onto Goblin here. He's going to go off to the side, heal up just a little bit here. Boise State only have one more opportunity.
Yeah, and we just are seeing how hard it is for teams to win on Assault because Boise State had a perfect fight just earlier and they lost to a 2-man Riptire. The Shatter's going to come out, so is the Deadeye. Boise State's going to walk right into it, and that's going to end this map pretty cleanly here, and Midland's going to get one back and send us to game number 4.
And there we go. That is going to unfortunately bring it to an end for Boise State there. They are going to have to go to round 4 to try to pick up their win against Midland. Now, if I may, if I'm allowed to ask, I do believe I do see Wasey not playing anymore on stage. So do we have an update there from the grand final?
Yeah, we do. It was absolutely insane. If you were able to catch it over on the Skillshot channel, then come join us. I mean, I will say, this is what I was talking about. Throw it in the highlight reel, but you lost this because of this fight here for Boise State. It's really just salt in the wound. But yeah, Wasey with an absolute epic 3-game series, beat Shenandoah 2-1. And my goodness, you know what? Why don't you tell us about what's coming up this summer, Jem, and then I'll fill everybody in on the details.
Well, Idaho Codes is a sponsored summer computer science program open to all 7th through 12th grade students in every Idaho school district, teaching coding and programming courses. Students who complete Idaho Codes have various credit opportunities and can network with those in the industry. Please encourage students in every district to register at idahocodes.org. The program is free for the first 1,000 students registered, and there are options to participate either on campus or online.
Yeah, so back to Madden before we get to game number 4 here between Midland and Boise State. Apologies to the Overwatch team, but Boise State just had an epic NECC national championship. Wasey lost game 1. Game 2 came all the way down to the very last play. Shenandoah scored what looked like the game-tying touchdown, opted to go for 2 and the win and the championship. Wasey shut it down to force us to a game 3, and then almost in the inverse situation, Wasey's down 3, 2 seconds left from the 5-yard line, opts for the touchdown on the second-to-last play of the game instead of what would have been the game-tying field goal, and he ends up pulling it off, a great slant route to Devontae Adams. So Wasey, by the thinnest of margins, he won play versus last night on a game-winning field goal. This series was even closer. Huge shout-out to Wasey. He is a back-to-back national champion in 2 days. Absolutely incredible performance for him. Cannot be more excited. I really hope, as you said, that his play, I know a lot of the Overwatch players were in the skill shot watching when they were able to. I hope he encourages the rest of Boise State because he has been absolutely on fire this semester, and hopefully he encourages Boise State to kind of put Midland in their tracks and show just how #better Boise State esports is.
Yeah, just over my shoulder, as you can see up on the stage there. Credit to Wasey for being win the back-to-back Madden champion of this year. We can see him on stage there. A great little bit of recognition and a lot of love and support from Boise State in what was a great match. Still looks like you can't believe it.
No, I mean, it was absolutely insane. It was, I mean, I was trying to watch on my phone and do diligence to the Overwatch team at the same time. You could hear the arena going absolutely bonkers. I mean, would not be shocked if this man goes over and just cleans out Chipotle of all of their burritos, because that was the most stressful thing I've watched. And I wasn't even playing. It was absolutely incredible. I mean, he has been insane. Didn't lose a match all semester in any tournament. Absolutely huge congratulations to Wasey. He is fantastic. The dude is absolutely insane. I can't wait to blindfold him and maybe try and stay within 2 touchdowns.
All right, Overwatch team. That's your pacemaker right there. He's set the pace.
Yep.
Can you complete it and get the victory in this semifinal? Boise State already having one great win for the night. Now can they make it 2 in this very important semifinal, sort of faux final match that you were talking about against Midland? We do go on to Payload right now, and we are going to see Junkertown, though. So one that we haven't seen in a long while.
Yeah, and I mean, ironically enough, we're seeing it because Boise State's picking it. I mean, we rarely see Boise State picking Escort, and so now that Boise State lost, maybe that's why we're seeing Junkertown, because teams don't want to play Boise State on it. So it's going to be a map, like you said, we haven't really seen in a while, and I do think one of the most telling things from this series, and something that I feel like is going to get changed really quickly, is this Diva remake. I mean, as I said, it looked like a meme. Some of the you know, I've talked to some of the Boise State players and some of the coaches, and it's like, yeah, like, you know, it's kind of going to be interesting, but it's really not going to stop Diva stagger. Because if you read the patch notes, that's what Blizzard said. We don't like how Divas are being staggered. This is trying to maybe give them that oomph if you make a mistake and let them remake and then punish you. We're not seeing that. We're seeing it mainly from Kel's perspective of he's just launching in Diva bombs, and he's either remeching in the middle of a fight or remeching on a flanking Reaper and just killing them. So, I mean, it really is kind of ridiculous that Blizzard just kind of forgot that, oh, yeah, Diva remechs in other times besides when she's being staggered, and she now can one-shot any DPS who's in area of her, or any support for that matter. So that is something I want to keep an eye out for, just not for the, oh, someone's going to make a mistake while trying to stall. It's, oh, that Diva just remexed and I was happy to be standing there. My bad.
Yeah, it might force just kind of a whole other a part of zoning. You just want to try to zone, and that's going to be one of the things that we have to find out, is whether this is just really powerful because no one's used to it yet, or as the matches go on, as they kind of get that in their heads that, like you said, oh, it isn't just on the stagger, it's when the Diva Bomb is used as well. Will they be able to change up their positioning and counter it effectively?
Yeah, it's just, I think it's one of those things where maybe you cut it in half, maybe make it to 125, maybe make it to 150. It just feels so oppressive, because if you are just, you're remeching on top of your payload defensively, we actually saw that. You just kill a random Reaper. I don't even know if Kel knew he was there. It was just one of those like, hey, I'm going to remech. Oh, I just got a kill. Or he uses one defensively or offensively. He's like, all right, I got a remech in the middle of the team. Drops to 10 HP. Just randomly kills a Lucio. It just really feels like one of those oppressive, like, win more situations for the Diva Bomb. So it's something I want to keep an eye on going forward here. Is it looks like it's going to be interesting to see. Boise State picked this map. We're 1-1 right now on teams picking maps and winning, with Midland picking up Anubis after picking Kings Row and losing. So really curious here. And again, this is just the semifinals, and no shade to UC Santa Cruz and Fresno State, who are playing on the other side of the bracket. But these are new champions from the fall, and the champion's a champion until somebody knocks them off. So right now, Midland has to have that in their back pocket. They beat Boise State before in the fall semester, absolutely annihilated them 4-1. It was one of those, like, what happened to Boise State kind of things. So Boise State would love nothing more. End it right now, get their revenge on Midland, and be able to focus on the championship match coming up later this month.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
One thing that we used to see a lot here on Junkertown is that Bastion sort of protect the president composition there on the first point. So will they set up the pirate ship? I don't think the team that's really going to be pushing forward first here is that interested in it, since I do see a Sigma actually being used or considered by the team here.
If it's Sigma, that has to be Midland. They brought it out a lot. We've seen Chatter play with you know, with that Sigma quite a bit. And I mean, there's the Orisa as well. I mean, if there would ever be a comp to bring a Bastion, it would be to this one. Instead, they're going to go double sniper with the Hanzo and the Widowmaker. Huge headshot there onto Noro. He will be taken out, but Boise State's got to cover their heads with all these snipers.
Yeah, and both reses also used by both teams there. Bring Noro and Plato back onto the field. Both teams back up to full strength right now. Boise State with both teams. That's Shiloh taken out by Goblin. But what answers that back by taking out Goblin? The snipers are really going at it thus far. We see Plato there. Gonna throw out that dynamite, try to get some damage on the point, but it's gonna be what with a great pick onto Asu, followed up by Plato, and that is someone who can click heads.
Yeah, I mean, then that's, I mean, we really have the quad snipers coming out. Large Bagel is able to get the headshot on him, tries the immortality field to keep the team alive, but what's going to be the turning point there? And he's going to be the guy Boise State's got to keep an eye on. If they don't cover their heads, he's going to be just absolutely demolishing them. I mean, the balance there for Widow is that her ultimate is subpar at best. I mean, sure, it's a great scouting ultimate, but nothing more. So if Boise State's ultimates on Plato for Bob, for example, are able to get more value than that infrared sight, Boise State can turn the tables there as a Gravitic Flux just kind of wipes the team, and Midland's going a little aggro here, just pushing Boise State as far back as they can.
Sky takes out Goblin. Plato coming back online with Bob available, but not quite to the rest of his, also being brought out by Asu as well, as they try to rush back towards the point as both teams reset a little bit right here. Noro is going to have Supercharger available, but that's going to be the only ultimate. Dragon Strike a little bit of a ways off, and infrared sights. I mean, like you said, it's useful, but it's no huge game changer. But Bob is going to come on, take out the Supercharger and the Immortality Field, and take out Noro and Sky, just clearing out the point. Shatter doing great work taking out Plato as well, keeping Boise State on level with Midland as Valkyrie and Dragon Strike are used. Valkyrie used by both Mercies, actually. Supercharger being placed down by Guac, but no eliminations to come from it thus far, as Midland has respawned back up to full strength, and Accretion trying to go up and above the point there, as What is doing such a great job on this Widowmaker, able to get another pick onto Goblin, answered back by Plato, and both teams are just back and forth here as they try to get to the checkpoint.
Unfortunately, Boise State's going to lose that Mercy there, which means they don't have a res available. Unfortunately, Execute just gets a huge res onto What. So that's going to be great value there for Midland. And unfortunately, Boise State's inability to kill that Mercy is going to come back and haunt them. They get another kill onto What, but they're just running out of resources. Aces end up swapping over to that Zenyatta, and now Boise State's going to have to hold here on third point, which is a very tough point at times for teams to siege, but with 5 minutes on the clock, Midland's going to have quite the lead, as now they're going to pick away from those snipers as you try to lose that high ground advantage as you go indoors.
And you don't want to discount how much value you give to that Mercy if you are not able to take her out and are letting that res get all of its value. It really changes engagements around and undoes that first pick that you were so proud that you got. And Sky is going to throw down Amp Matrix. Goblin using Meteor Strike at the same time. Gravitic Flux coming online for Kel. We see a bit of fight up here from Chatty. Stunned by the Accretion, has to go back down to ground level. And Kel uses the Accretion onto Shiloh. Large Bagel following that up, picking up What as well. Boise State finding themselves at the advantage now and stopping the point from going any further.
Yeah, they're going to force the respawns here. Midland doesn't have many ults coming online soon. They do have that Gravitic Flux Boise State has to watch out for. Boise State with that Amp Matrix, though, if they're able to throw it down while... Chatter's got to be careful. If he gets Amp Matrix while he's completing the Gravitic Flux, because you can interrupt the cast, we have to throw you up and then slam you down, that can absolutely counter a huge ult. They get a great pick, but no kill onto the Mercy means a free res.
Free res goes through, but Noro is picked off, followed by What, so that res now undone. We see Asu following Sigma up the stairs here as Plato has that Dragon Strike available, but they're not going to use it quite yet as Midland is effectively stopped here, so they're just going to continue to drain some time off of the clock, build up some of their ultimates. Midland actually does, Shiloh does have a swap over to a Hanzo, so we'll see who's the better Hanzo here.
Yeah, I like the Plato just kind of spamming in their spawn, trying to do as much damage. Supercharger's going to come down. Here's that Gravitic Flux. Boise State needs a pick, and they're not able to get it, but a Dragon Strike from Plato is going to make quick work of that Mercy, which is huge.
Yeah, not having that res anymore allows Boise State to just plow through Midland, especially as that supercharger was burned from Noro, wiping out all of the ultimates that Midland has. Boise State still has their supercharger, so a little bit of an inverse from what we saw in Temple of Anubis. Now Boise State finding themselves with the advantage on the ultimates.
Yeah, Boise State still, again, just has to be careful, making sure they pace themselves with their ultimates here. Don't want to throw out anything too crazy. Supercharger's going to come down. That's going to allow them to build the rest of them. And here comes a huge Gravitic Flux.
Gravitic Flux coming on to Noro is going to be taken out by it, followed by Shiloh and Wotton with both DPSs gone from Midland. The supports fall shortly afterwards, and Boise State has done a great job thus far on taking out the Diva Mech. Now, you just got to make sure she doesn't mech back up. They're going to try to stagger, but just be a little bit careful. She was able to remech, and now they're going to really drag out the scatter. They're really going to drag out the stagger with the orb being placed onto her and finally being taken out. Midland now only has 2 minutes to take the third point.
Yeah, it was kind of risky there, but Boise State, as you mentioned, it's going to be one of those things where a lot of players are going to learn to play around it, and it will lose that oomph and that sort of surprise meme value we talked about here. But for Boise State, these dragons and this Bob are going to be huge. They've also got to dodge the Ant Matrix if they're on their own.
Bob is actually not going to be used, and Plato tries to throw out that Dragon Strike, but all of them are taken out before they can get any real value out of it. Now, Large Bagel's trying to fight back, takes out the Diva Mech, takes out Execute as well, and Asu is eliminated, and Shatter, before it was taken out of the mech, was able to take out with a punch there onto Boise State. So having to reset again, and Boise State burned one of their big DPS ultimates and was just taken aback by the speed that Midland was able to overtake them with.
Yeah, Boise State still has that Bob, though, and he's going to get immediately called into the fight. What's going to take a lot of damage. That Wraith Form's not going to make you invincible for that long, and now Midland's going to have one, maybe two fights, depending on how quick this next fight goes, to try and cap point. Boise State's going to have Transcendence available, should have basically 3 ults, and maybe, depending on how many headshots Goblin gets, a 4th. Well, you're looking at Midland. They're going to have the Deadeye. They're going to have that Shatter. A lot of pressure is going to be on Execute. Can he build a sound barrier in time? If he can, I think Midland wins this point and is able to free cap. If not, I think Boise State's going to hold.
Asu does have Transcendence just coming online, as well as Deadeye being brought on from Shiloh there, but what taken out very early on in the fight there. And the Immortality Field that a Large Bagel threw down is taken out. Noro does do a Flame Strike. Transcendence is being brought out, but that Diva Bomb and Shatter is not going to come into effect as Noro is taken out. Goblin also taken out, Executing before he can get that sound barrier, and there's the win condition for Midland University gone with only 5 seconds left on the clock. Is anyone going to try to rush on to the last minute? Tracer tries to get on there, taken out by Asu, and they have managed to cut the overtime clock ticking down. We do see Diva Bomb thrown out there and the remake, but Boise State doing a great job keeping them from getting on the point. Sam Matrix thrown out, Large Bagel picks up a double, and Bob also picking up some of the slack by taking out Shiloh as well. That's going to do it, and that is no point taken for Midland.
I mean, they might as well have taken the point, just in sense of how far Boise State has to go.
Yeah,
this is not an easy one.
But they don't go to overtime. Boise State doesn't go to overtime if they take the point. It is a win for them.
It is winnable for Boise State, that is for sure, but it is definitely not an easy push. And yeah, it really came down to, as you mentioned, Noro never got the Shatter off, and you watch, he just never had an opportunity to not hold that shield. He had a shield the entire time. He was getting a ton of damage thrown on him, and it was a great job by Boise State from making it so, you know what, yeah, the Shatter looks great, but as is all ultimates in Overwatch, there is a sort of pseudo cast time, if you will, that if you kill him before that hammer hits the ground, doesn't matter. The ult goes away and it never casts. So that's a really, really good job by Boise State, forcing Noro to hold Shatter the entire time. Really the worst Shatter we've seen him have. And it looks like for now, Midland's gonna, maybe swap things up, put him on the Orisa and put Shatter on the Reinhardt.
Yeah, that's an interesting little swap there. Boise State still sticking on double sniper for their first push here. Skel is going to be getting onto the Sigma there. And that's going to be their choice for offense.
Now again, it's going to come down to what, though. We saw him absolutely pop off attacking and really open up that first point for Midland. I think he got like 4 headshots in a row onto Boise State. So if he's able to get that headshot value, it's going to really make a difference. Boise State's going to answer with their own double sniper. So Goblin versus what? That's your matchup you want to watch. Whoever gets the first headshot onto the other Widowmaker probably is going to put his team in a great spot to win.
All right, Boise State heads onto the payload. Is immediately going to be contested by Midland, who flanks them off from the side, and Plato taken out by Sky. They're being pushed back into their spawn point. They really kind of weren't expecting that attack, as what is able to get a headshot onto Asu. Boise State is now they know where Midland is, but that was the first point that was immediately stopped.
Yeah, they're going to end up going with that, pirate ship, protect the president, whatever you want to call it, with that Bastion. The biggest thing is going to be, can he get onto the point? They get a great pick onto Sky and Noro. I think Midland bit off way more than they could chew there, trying to hold Boise State in their spawn, and what's going to need like 6 back-to-back headshots to keep his team from not being able to reestablish a close hold.
Well, it's been a while since I have seen pirate ship used on Junkertown there, as Bastion actually jumps off the point and is actually going off to the side there. So actually, they're just going to use Bastion, but not in the pirate ship way. As the point, they're going to try to get some sort of flank, and Goblin building up a lot of charge, able to take out Sky, not before Noro takes him out as well. And with the res coming through the Mercy, Sky is back up to full strength. Now, does Goblin stick on? No, he doesn't stick on Bastion, and I was kind of expecting that. You use Bastion as much as you can for the first push, but after you're done, you just swap off and try something different.
Yeah, this is the other thing is we do watch Guac just kind of farm all percentage there. That we didn't talk about is the Orisa halt cooldown being lowered by, I think, about 3 seconds. It puts a ton of value. 2
seconds or 3?
I thought it either 2 or 3, but either way, I know Boise State players said that could bring Orisa potentially back in. They think some of her complementary heroes are still a little bad. Okay. But the ability to have that halt just kind of spammable is maybe why we're seeing her here a lot more in this game.
Yeah, reduced from 8 to 6 seconds.
Yeah, that it's just so oppressive. It's just in that ability to stop you from playing your character in the way you want to play your character.
Supercharger is also available to Orisa, is what uses the infrared sights, but both tanks on both teams having the ultimates available to them, and Noro is going to be the first one to throw down the Supercharger, as well as the Gravitic Flux. Supercharger also comes down from Boise State, but they are taken out before they can get any real mileage out of it, and Gravitic Flux was also used by Kel there, so both ultimates stopped there from Boise State, and they are having a tough time getting to even the first checkpoint here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting because that Supercharger for Noro got full value and allowed his teams to build up those ultimates. You see the Dragon Strike, the Dragon Strike is available there for Shiloh. You see the Valkyrie's almost online. Amp Matrix is up for Asu, though, so it's going to be really interesting. And Boise State is really starting to run out of time. They have not been in these last 2 maps as successful offensively as Midland has, even really coming close to the amount of pressure Midland's applied offensively on these last 2 maps.
Speaking of offensive pressure, there comes the Dragon Strike onto Guac there, but was able to hunker down and is using this Amp Matrix here, is able to take out Sky. Asu eliminated by Chatter, and a large bagel going to Shiloh, and that res coming through yet again onto Sky, getting so much value for Midland, and now Guac finds himself trying to fight this Sigma here, as the halt is not on cooldown, but is able to take out Chatter with some help from a large bagel there. And now Goblin also getting the pick onto Sky. Boise State finding what they needed with very little time to spare. Gonna get to the first checkpoint here, unless Midland might have 1 fight left here on this checkpoint.
I think all this halt and spam is gonna really stop them. The infrared sight came out, and actually no, they're gonna send Noro onto the point. Here comes the rest of the team. Amp Matrix goes down. Boise State's got to be careful as they'll go 1 for 1.
They go 1 for 1, and now are going to be, with a punch to Shiloh, are going to be going 2 for 2 now. And the C-bomb thrown onto Sky. Boise State still finding a little bit of advantage, but it is back and forth now. Kel taking out Chatter and Execute. Kel with that double there, securing the first checkpoint for Boise State, trying to go after Widowmaker there. She runs away, and Noro taken out by a large bagel. Boise State getting a bit more time that they desperately needed, now need to get to the second checkpoint.
Yeah, and that attempted stagger from Midland might end up coming back to cost them, because it allowed Boise State not only to continue this game, but also allowed them to build a ton of ult charges. You just see how disproportionate the ult charges is for both sides. I mean, Noro and Guac are the only ones who are really close in terms of comparable roles and comparable ult charge. So Boise State might be able to kind of roll, especially with Attack Visor into a Gravitic Flux here if Kel can land a big one.
Well, there goes the Gravitic Flux. Now, is it comboed with the Visor? It isn't. There goes the Visor out now. and that's going to allow Boise State to push through maybe a little more, but it's actually going to be Goblin who gets all of the eliminations, is going to go to execute. He actually does get eliminated, and Plato gets the elimination onto Noro. So a little bit staggered there, but one by one, Boise State still managing to push through.
I believe it was the accretion stun from Chatter actually stopped Kel's Gravitic Flux from finishing the cast. Otherwise, Boise State might have rolled just a little bit harder there, but they still end up, I mean, but on the back of that Gravitic Flux and a huge pop-off play from Goblin, are able to cap this point. Not going to have nearly as much time as Midland once again, but it is winnable. Overtime's not in play here, and so Boise State, if they can pick up a quick first fight, they're going to have to go into Gravitic Flux, and the Transcendence isn't going to be online unless a large bagel pops off offensively with a couple huge picks. So it's going to be tough there, but that's a huge one. Now they need to stop the res.
They need to stop the res, and they are going to be able by taking out Executing. Noro answers back by taking out Goblin, but now Chatter falls as well, and that was great for Boise State. Once they were able to stop that Mercy res, they were able to keep getting eliminations and not allow Midland to come back. They are going to be rounding this corner, and they're going to be getting into final fight territory now.
Yeah, keeping as many people on the payload too here to speed it up just a little bit. Boise State does have a couple fights left in them. They aren't quite at Transcendence. Gravitic Flux only going to land onto Kel. Nice fortify there. That's huge for Boise State. They just got to dodge the Dragon Strike. Transcendence comes out in perfect time.
Transcendence is going to negate that Dragon Strike, and now Tactical Visor being used to take out the Immortality Field. Midland is pushed into the narrow corners, and there goes an Amp Matrix down as well. The Accretion trying to go onto Sky, who goes very low on Elk Supercharger, also thrown out by Noro. And Shiloh and What are going to be able to get rid of Guac and his Supercharger as well, but not before Guac was able to take out Chatter. And now here comes that all-important res back onto Chatter, pushing Midland back up to full strength. But Boise State, even though they lost that one, they are right on top of winning it now.
Yeah, one final fight here, more than likely. Maybe if you lose quickly for Boise State, sure you get a second fight. But I mean, the biggest thing here is it's going to be Gravitic Flux up for Boise State. It's going to be Bob up for What. A pick onto What before he gets Bob would be absolutely huge. And you can stop the res with the Valkyrie. It's going to be a bit harder. But Kel's got to land a huge Gravitic Flux, and Boise State can win this match.
Well, there goes the Valkyrie out from Executee, and we're waiting for that Gravitic Flux, seeing how much Kel gets out of it. With that ult, it's going to get a lot of Midland University, and now Plato follows that out by taking out What's Bob, and now the Sticky Bomb is thrown out, is able to take out Noro, and with the Amp Matrix thrown down as well, Boise State pushing so much damage with the Tactical Visor combo onto Midland University. That's going to be the point taken for Boise State. A triple for that Tactical Visor, and Boise State has won the semifinals against Midland University on to the finals.
Yeah, just a great performance there by Boise State. Midland just, unfortunately, they're really going to come back, and it's going to come down to a couple of really minor plays. As we see a large bagel pick up this play of the game. Going to be right off the start, just doing those sort of Zenyatta things where you end up being more of a DPS than a healer, especially with that Orb of Discord. And like I said, it's going to come down to dying with a sound barrier available on Kings Row. Recontesting here on Junkertown instead of just letting Boise State cap and allowing Boise State to pick up those 3 ults that ended up allowing them to keep pushing through. And it's going to come down to just, unfortunately, a few micro misplays from Midland that makes a difference. Boise State, the 3-1 winners, and they're on to the championships here, but they get that monkey off their back and avenge last semester's championship loss.
Yeah, Boise State has proven that they can be #better against Midland, and it is going to be it remains to be seen who they be going up against in the finals. It's either going to be Santa Cruz or Fresno State, as you said earlier. But a congratulations to Boise State, 2 of the top teams going against each other, and Boise State pulling out the victory in the end. So it's been a very great day all around. We had WAC picking up the grand final, Boise State going up against the toughest team and winning. They will be going on to the NECC finals. And to close it out, we usually kind of predict, who would you say would the player of the game be?
Oh, that is going to be really tough. I'm torn because you want to say Goblin, and there's the highlight right there you can slam in our faces with the 5-man Death Blossom. Yeah. The only problem is when you look at the grander scheme of that game, there were other factors that caused that to lose the game, that lose the Nubis and prevent a 3-0. So I have to say it's Goblin because I do think there is that one little thing where player of the game usually goes to whoever who's the easiest to find highlights for, because the highlights are what really make it. So I'll give it to Goblin. I think that 5-man Death Blossom pushes it over the top. It's just going to be a little hard to watch, knowing that that 5-man Death Blossom also cost him Temple of Anubis as well.
Yeah, it could also go to Plato as well. Just so good on that DPS, able to pick up those crucial points. And there were multiple times where it was the DPS pick onto someone who was about to use their ultimate that changed it, and it is going to be Plato that's decided. Yeah,
Plato is... I mean, he is the like I said, the yin to the yang for Boise State with Goblin. Goblin's going to have the flashy plays, the 5-man Death Blossoms. Plato's just going to show up in the kill feed. He usually plays those heroes who don't have the biggest of, multi-kill ult capabilities, like the McCree, like the Tracer, where it's usually just one pick or a zoning ult that really comes through. He was absolutely phenomenal on this Doomfist as well.
Yeah, this was what he was looking for all this time.
Temple of Anubis. So yeah, I mean, honestly, well-deserved. He complements Goblin so well, and sort of that you have the playmaker and the absolute showstopper versus the guy who's just absolutely solid, and a huge deserved ICCU player of the game for Plato.
Hugely deserved after we gave him so much grief from that Doomfist there. So that's great for Plato. ICCU player of the game, brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Plato is your Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. Well, that's going to do it for this particular Overwatch match, but we have so much more coming up for you later in the evening, so you're going to want to stay on this channel. But for now, we leave you with the top 5 plays of the game, brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your critical thinking skills into real time, with more than 10 positions offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. Idaho Army National Guard is one of the best teams to join out there. Reach out to them at iGuard Gaming on Twitch. Enjoy your top 5 plays of the game. We are going to see who can go on to the grand. Both on the defense and offense, great picks there from that Remac. It's going to be Goblin who takes the play of the game as Torb, though.
Yeah, just he got a ton of Molten Core value, and really, I mean, this is just a classic Torbjorn play of the game. He's not even looking at the fight. He's just getting eliminations and getting... already had that amp matrix built up, so using that nano, sure, it got Noro 60% charge, but I think that was just kind of a really poor fight and wasted a lot of time, as they're going to walk right into a Gravitic Flux.
They walk right into that Gravitic Flux. It does take out Immortality Fear, followed by the Death Blossom. There's a 5-person Death Blossom from Goblin.
Gonna be right off the start, just doing those sort of Zenyatta things where you end up being more of a DPS than a healer, especially with that Orb of Discord. And like I said, it's gonna come down to dying with a sound barrier available on Kings Row. Recontesting here on Junkertown instead of just letting Boise State cap and allowing Boise State to pick up those 3 ults.
Goblin, as we see him on the back line, just trying to pepper any sort of damage onto the point, and Guac with a great Flame Strike is able to take out Shiloh before he can use that Riptide. It is still even, though, for both teams right now, as we see Shatter going very low on health. Play2 able to get a double, taking out Sky, and what an Adiva bump from Cal is also going bomb is thrown out by Play2. Anti-Nade also goes on to a few members of Boise State. Noro and Execute are taken out by Boise State, putting them at the advantage. Now Play2 is going to also be able to take out Shiloh and Sky as well.
We understand an upside-down world. We understand a rogue virus, 0 jobs, and stratospheric tuition. But they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Not so fast. Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will. We will because our future is the future. Because the life we have chosen has prepared us for this moment in history. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day. We're going to save families from disaster and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny. We invite you to join us. The next greatest generation is now.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
We understand an upside-down world. We understand a rogue virus, zero jobs, and stratospheric tuition. But they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Not so fast. Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will. We will because our future is the future. Because the life we have chosen has prepared us for this moment in history. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day. We're going to save families from disaster and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny. We invite you to join us. The next greatest generation is now.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
welcome back to the Boise Game Pants Esports Arena. Boise State is having a great night tonight so far. We have had Boise win the finals in Madden. It's a back-to-back championship, back-to-back year champion for 2 years back-to-back. And Boise State has just won in their NECC match against in their semifinal NECC match against Marshall. Are going to be going on to the grand finals in NECC, which we have just heard that Santa Cruz was able to beat Fresno State, so that is going to be the matchup for the finals. But now we move on to play versus in the round of 16 with Boise State going up against Shawnee State. I'm still your host, Jacob Jem Palmer, joined by Michael Fish Fisher. And Fish, this is going to be one interesting tidbit I was informed of in this particular match. It is not going to be the first map automatically chosen. Instead, the higher seed team gets the choice, so Boise State is going to be getting the first choice of what control map they want to play.
Yeah, Boise State will get selection throughout this tournament. They are the #1 seed coming in, so any game that Boise State, any series Boise State plays in, they will always have map #1 pick. And it is interesting. The other interesting note is that Shawnee State just took down Mountain West rival Colorado State, which is a matchup I think some at Boise State were probably rooting for, just to be able to get revenge on Colorado State and see them again, because I know Boise State will play them in the Mountain West as well. So unfortunately we avoid that match, and just due to circumstances, Boise State did not have a first round match. So it is kind of one of those things where, is Boise State maybe a little bit rusty? Is everything, good to go? You don't get that first match to maybe test to make sure internet connections are working, make sure everything's ready to go. You only get to play some solo queue games. So that is the one thing. And I mean, it's the age-old question in any sport or any esport: is it better to be the team that didn't play, or is it better to be the team that just got to be able to warm up and be able to play recently? Now, normally you get some days off in between. This time it's back-to-back-to-back. 3 games today were scheduled, only 2 now potentially for Boise State if they win. So very, very interesting. Going to be something we maybe want to keep an eye on if Boise State comes out a little bit sluggish on control against Shawnee State. If they have maybe some technical issues, they just didn't get to test that in a first-round matchup. That's something I want to keep an eye on here.
Well, we can look at the overall structure of the Play versus Collegiate Overwatch Championship. It was 62 teams in a 7-week regular season playing best of 5 in Swiss format. And we have entered the playoffs, which are now down to the round of 16, which, like you said earlier, just due to circumstances, Boise State did not have to play their first match, so they automatically advanced to the round of 16. And this is going to be the matchup that we are looking at for tonight. Boise State versus Shawnee State to see who can move on. It is Boise State versus the Shawnee State Bears. The Broncos versus the Bears in this Play versus Overwatch match. And who moves on further in the championship?
Yeah, it can be interesting. Boise State, the high seed, undefeated in Play versus, only team to go undefeated. Everybody's going to have a target on the back of Boise State. Everyone wants to knock them off, get that big upset, make your name known. So Boise State's got to watch out. Also, that mixed roster, be very interesting to see who comes to play here for Boise State. I know with spring break ending and Boise State encouraging students to stay home after spring break and finish classes online, I mean, who knows what your situation is. It's not as awesome as the internet we have here in the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, that's for sure. So very interesting home setups for some of these players. I mean, maybe we end up seeing some different names. Maybe we see Rezo in. I know Boise State coaches have been playing him recently. Maybe we get some members from the Orange team as well, because every member, I think 14 or 15 is the official number available for Boise State, so they can kind of mix and match depending on comp, depending on need, depending on schedule. So very, very interesting to see how this team comes out against Shawnee State. What Boise State wants to do will be all blue, will be a mix, and that'll kind of tell you what Boise State has up their sleeve. But I know they're hoping for a quick 3-0 because there is still a round of 8 match tonight, and they would love as long a break as physically possible.
Yeah, speaking of what you were talking about, Fish, let's see Doc's keys to the game that the lineup will have to consider. In Overwatch, it's never take a fair fight, which that means to take fights in unexpected places, when the opposing team is unprepared, and when you can have ability advantage. Doc's keys to the game brought to you by Count Identity Trust Global Network, delivering real-time fraud protection, account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. Quick and accurate identity trust decisions deliver safe payment, account creation, and login events while reducing digital fraud, chargebacks, false positives, and manual reviews. Count.com, Count.com.
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be, you know, we kind of talk about it. It's hard to really say how that will look in game because we don't know the roster for Boise State. I know that there had been, you know, there's like a ton of combinations Boise State can combine. But if you look at just the blue team in particular, who we just saw against Midland, it really comes down to Goblin. He is that man who kind of makes those dock keys to the game work. He's going to have trying to pull off flanks. I know, especially on that Reaper, he's always looking for that huge Death Blossom. And then, honestly, the other thing is, as soon as you see Goblin, you turn around, immediately you don't expect Plato anymore, who just won our ICCU player of the game for the last match against Midland, and they just complement each other so well. It's Goblin's flanking, Plato's just standing with the rest of the team, then he becomes the guy you don't expect, and so it's going to be very hard for Shawnee State to be able to deal with that mixed match balance that Boise State can throw at you. But like I said, who knows who else could be in the lineup and how they can maybe change that unexpected fight mentality that Boise State likes to play with.
Well, Boise State, in their decision, is just going to go with what we're kind of used to, going with Lijon Tower first.
Yeah, Lijon Tower, also the full blue squad in here for Boise State. Guac, Kel, Goblin, Plato, a large bagel, and Asu. Look on Shawnee State side, I'm curious for that Sombra. I know she just got recently buffed for Finnick, but especially against someone like Goblin, going to be a very hard target. Goblin does not have a pocket mercy. Okay, Asu's going to swap the last second. So maybe this is a scout play for Finnick, especially with that movement spree. He might teleport back, but it looks like he's going to stick on it. So that Sombra is going to have to get huge value as he gets that first hack off, but unfortunately, 2 supports already dead for Shawnee State.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with Zephyr there. He was completely peeled off from the rest of his team. It might have been trying a scouting play, I don't know. But if you're trying a scouting play, then just use the Sombra and then come back. That was just really bizarre to see Zephyr all by himself there.
Yeah, and this is where the Sombra kind of does worry me, is there's very limited opportunities for you to find Goblin and Asu in a position where you can get a huge hack or a huge EMP, so he's got to be very, very particular. And we also see Shawnee State maybe worried about that Peep Nurse and that Moira buff. Going to be on that Moira for now, so maybe use that Coalescence to try and burn that pharmacy out of the sky.
And we also see a bit of splitting up here from Shawnee State, too. We see Finnick going very low down on health as the other members of Shawnee State try to meet him in the center. You see Goblin just peppering damage down from up above with this Farmers. He's ever going very low on health. Is going to be taken out by Goblin. And now another Prime hit it, getting another shot from Goblin there on the Farmers. He is going to have to go back into the backline and heal up. We did see an anti-nade also going on to Monkey there. So Boise State doing a great job trying to hold the point. We do see the Sombra trying to be very sneaky to get onto the point and take it. Or actually, no, he's going into the backline. I don't know where that Sombra's going, but she's trying to be sneaky.
She's looking for an EMP. She's still 25% away, though. Huge knock off the edge there for Kel on to Zephyr. That's going to slow down Shawnee State's push, and they got to be careful. They're setting up for a huge rocket barrage. That D.Va needed a challenge there, and that's going to cost the Moira their life.
And now the Monkey is also taken out. We do see Zephyr trying to get away, is going to be going back to spawn. And Finnick now is going to have that EMP available. Primal Rage also available from Guac, and a bit of a stagger onto Shawnee State. They have not been able to really get to the point in any meaningful way, and now here comes Finnick, is looking for that EMP onto Boise State. Boise State is a bit split up here. They are not all together. That's going to make that huge EMP a lot harder, and anti-nade also going on to the Monkey. Very low on health, trying to get that final shot, but does heal up there. Primal Rage now is going to be burned. Deadeye going on to Asu, trying to knock the Lucio off the edge with that Primal Rage. And now Shawnee State is contesting and has made it to the point with Goblin taking out Moira.
Yeah, the EMP only landing onto one there for a large bagel. Valkyrie does come out. Be curious if they want to try and res Kel. They're going to drop a 3-man sound barrier, so if Kel could get back into the fight with that Gravitic Flux, or with that grab, I mean, that's going to be huge for Boise State. They got to be careful with that D.Va bomb. They stopped the remech as well, and this should be an easy win here for Boise State as soon as they flip the point back.
Yeah, it goes back into overtime. A little bit of contesting from Shawnee State, but it is nowhere near enough. We do see Zephyr coming on there. Graviton Surge is going to stop that Monkey right as he used his Primal Rage there. Now they're going to burn down Zephyr as well. Take the point as Shawnee State files in one after the other. It's only a matter of time at this point. Barrage also used there. Boise State still have yet to capture it. Now they do get the first win.
Yeah, and it really felt like Boise State, you know, domination from the start there. A little bit of a flip when Kel gets picked out there, but it just feels like the comp for Shawnee State just wasn't there. That Sombra, we've talked about it time and time again, just doesn't have the value right now that she needs. You can get the biggest EMP in the world. You can land a 6-man EMP. We've seen Frost do it a number of times with Boise State Orange Team. If you don't have a follow-up, it really doesn't matter what you do. The enemy, Boise State's going to be able to survive that EMP. So I think that by picking that Sombra, they were kind of, already behind the 8-ball, and as the underdog, Boise State with the 1, Shawnee with the 17 seed, I believe. I mean, it already is kind of an uphill battle, so I just think they need to pick a better comp, and now they'll come out a bit more standard with the Symmetra and the Junkrat here, and I'd be curious to see if we get any huge rip tires like we saw in our previous match.
Well, the Junkrat is immediately going to make his presence known, taking out Goblin with that mine. The Mortality Field was thrown down for Boise State, keeping a large Bagel and Plato still ready to go. Goblin has respawned and is going to be heading back to the rest of his team, taking out that Symmetra teleporter there, as well as that turret. And now Plato goes onto the point, throws out that mine onto HR Prime, and that is a great pick. Is going to turn it into a double by taking out Zara as well. Finnick is also eliminated by Goblin. Plato continuing to get a triple onto Baptiste there. Boise State takes the point.
Yeah, Boise State, great start. Plato has been absolutely insane so far today. We saw it in the Midland series. We're seeing it right now. Riptire coming online relatively soon. Should be able to beat HR Prime, but it's going to be close depending on that spam. Also, you see the difference in shatters already up for Guac, 38% for Dem 72. So if he can land a huge shatter there for Guac, that Riptire might not even matter, especially with this Ant Matrix up. Boise State sitting in a very, very smart spot. But a teleport behind, Boise State, they got to make sure they're ready for it. They're now split up, and they're immediately going to turn around. And an interesting attempt there for Shawnee State, but I don't think everyone got in the teleporter, and that's really what cost them.
Well, a bit of a sneaky Lucio onto the point there. And Reinhardt's going to come take him out. Just a couple hammer swings there. Boise State gains the point back. Didn't even lose it there. Now it goes past 48 point. And the Boise State, you can tell when they're very confident in their match because they go up to this choke point and just bully the other team, not letting them leave their spawn area at all. And now the Amp Matrix is going to come out. Make it very hard for Shawnee State to even push, and just seeing that Amp Matrix, they're not even going through the door at this point. They do try the Symmetra teleport, though, again, and have managed to go onto this left route instead. The Zarya is caught behind and isn't able. Now we've seen the shatter is going to go on from the other way. Both teams reverse positions, but that isn't going to matter for Boise State. They pick up 2. A large Bagel picks up 2, and now Asu picks up. The support's getting doubles apiece, and Boise State continues to hold on to the point.
Yeah, Shawnee State, once again, they're trying these teleporter plays, and they're just not working. I mean, that time, if you noticed, Goblin actually knew exactly where the teleporter was. We didn't see where it was, but 5 members of Shawnee State got flashbanged. Unfortunately, Goblin in a 1v5 is not going to win that, as Deep Bomb and a Deadeye are going to come out right on top of the teleporter. Boise State looking for some value, not able to find it. Photon Barrier is going to be used defensively. Unfortunately, it's not really going to matter. Boise State with that sound barrier from a large Bagel into Shatter, just to be able to wrap things up here. And they take care of business as the number 1 seed. No signs of rust at all.
Yeah, no, they're ready to just continue on here.
Yeah, I mean, and that is something that Boise State has struggled with at times. They sometimes have played down to their competition's level, so I like that dominating win here in our first map.
Well, Idaho Codes is a sponsored summer computer science program open to all 7th and 12th grade students in every Idaho school district, teaching coding and programming courses. Students who compete in Idaho Codes have various credit opportunities and can network with those in the industry. Please encourage students in every district to register at idahocodes.org. The program is free for the first 1,000 students registered, and there are options to participate either on campus or online.
Really curious what Shawnee State's going to want to do here in Play Versus in terms of our second map. I do believe Assault is the second map choice in Play Versus.
Yeah,
I
believe
remember.
Play Versus wanted to make Assault.
Yeah, which it's really interesting. We saw that was the one map Boise State Blue struggled with against Midland. So very curious to see. Maybe they go with Temple of Anubis, but it does feel like, actually, no, they're not going to go with Temple of Anubis. But it feels like the only problem here is just from what we saw in Control, Boise State. They're the number 1 seed for a reason. They're undefeated for a reason. As long as they continue to play at the top of their level and don't get involved in any shenanigans, I think, unfortunately, that snowball is never really even going to turn into a snowflake for Shawnee State when they're attacking.
Which makes me think about Shawnee State's overall strategy here, because Shawnee State, they first tried it with with the Sombra in the first map, and then they were trying a bunch of sneaky Symmetra teleports. It seems Shawnee State's overall strategy is just trying these, you know, weird off-the-wall strategies and just trying to see what sticks. So are they going to be trying Symmetra plays again here? Are they going to just try to pull out something so out of the box that maybe Boise State doesn't expect it? I don't know, but that seems to be the playbook for Shawnee State so far.
I mean, that's just the standard playbook in most cases for when you're trying to pull off a big upset. Is you have to, you know, unless you maybe have, you know, a one-trick DPS who is up in that 4.2 range that Boise State is, you have to come out with something, you know, cheesy, something that Boise State is almost take Doc's keys to the game and apply it to your team comp if you're Shawnee State. Taking something that Boise State isn't expecting. Doing a fight in a way that Boise State doesn't expect. That is the recipe to any underdog upset outside of a movie where, you know, dogs can't play basketball because it's not in the rules. That is the biggest key, is you have to do something Boise State doesn't expect, and I think that's what Shawnee State's trying to do. The Symmetra, she loses a ton of value when you lose first fight on her. They needed to swap off of that, but a Sombra. Maybe if you can get a Sombra, you get a huge EMP. Maybe you can catch Boise State off guard if you combine it with a bunch of other ultimates together. But that's the one thing you've got to do if you're Shawnee State. You cannot go toe-to-toe with Boise State, because so far, Control just showed that is not going to work, and this series could be over quickly if Shawnee State ever tries that again.
Well, they throw up the Maywall to go up the side route here. Boise State is going to meet them right there. It's just going to push so much damage through that tiny little doorway, and Guac is there to meet all of them. Now Guac comes in from behind, and Plato takes out Lucio, but that's the first, that could be a real start there, as Plato is taken out by Finnick there. Both teams are back to even strength, but Shawnee State has to come out of that building and make a play onto the point. Boise State is just going to take them from both sides and pinch them in here, and I don't know which direction Shawnee State really goes from here.
Yeah, Shawnee State's just, you know, unfortunately that is not what you're looking for there when your Lucio self-boops himself off the edge. And that's really going to slow things down. They're not going to have that speed up. They're not going to have the sound barrier charging. They do have an Ant Matrix, so if they could throw one down in a sneaky spot, maybe Boise State gets caught off, but the Primal Rage is too much there for Guac, and Shawnee State already struggling here. Maybe...
Oh, he's going to get going for the Lucio!
Maybe you bring out that Symmetra and you teleport right where we just saw Guac leap. Maybe you set up a teleporter there. Something a little bit, you know, off meta is what Shawnee State needs, but you cannot have your player... You cannot have self-inflicted wounds here if you're Shawnee State if you want to win. There is a rule that monkeys are not allowed to drive dump trucks, though. That is in the rule book. I know that one for sure. Guac's going to have to avoid that.
That would be too powerful. It takes up too much of the... It takes up too much of the playfield. Well, now they're going to try again. They seem to be going with this maze strategy of just trying to throw the wall up and then take a side route there. Now they're going to find themselves in this narrow hallway. Boise State, they managed to get over the bridge, but now they face the same problem. They need to get on the point, and Boise State is just closing off the choke points for these buildings and just wailing on them in these close quarters here as the Meteor Strike comes on, and Shawnee State is trying to get out of the way. They did throw down the Immortality Field, but now Plato continues, is going to take out that Baptiste. Narble's also taking out Finnick as well. We do see a couple of picks here and there, but Guac is just having to use that Primal Rage in there, is able to take out the Reinhardt as well. The Reinhardt actually gets a bit of shield there from the Lucio Sand Barrier and is actually pinned. Guac gets pinned there and almost taken out by the Reinhardt, but some backup from Quidgible and a double from Quidgible. Triple from Quidgible is going to keep the point firmly in Boise State's hands.
Yeah, and we talked about how the fact Boise State has their full roster available. So we did get a couple of swaps, as we've seen here, Narbles and Quidgible both in for Boise State. And it will be interesting. I mean, we talked about this was maybe the one change we thought we might see have the biggest impact, is this Echo change, where when she comes out of that duplicate, she's going to be returned to the health she had or 100, whichever is greater. So Narbles has to make sure he doesn't end this fight in the middle of a team, but Shawnee State, multiple ults available. They can really save and go all 5 at the same time as Grav comes out.
At Grav, and that wall is going to stop them right there. It's just a little bit of defense from that Grab. Now comes the Blizzard out from Shawnee State. How many members of Boise? It is going to freeze the Zarya, but Narbles is already going to take out the DPS as well as Plato before they can even follow up on that. And now that Shatter and Gravitic Flux is also gone from Shawnee State. and that's 3 ultimates burned from them with nothing to show for it.
And we always talk about it. I mean, when there's a Zarya in the game, your team has, if you don't have the Zarya, you have to have sound barrier up if you're playing Lucio when the grab comes out. And unfortunately, Turtle just did not have it up. He's still at 80%. Quidjable might get another one here as the Deadeye comes out. There's the duplicate onto the Reinhardt.
And the Deadeye does pick up Plato, but now the Shatter is going to be going on, and now Narbles comes back, and that little nerf to the copy isn't going to come into play as Narbles was already at full health. But Narbles is taken out, and this is the opening they were looking for. As the Amp Matrix was thrown down, and Shawnee State used that to push through from Boise State. Now Guac is going to try to meet them on the playfield, is at half health. They just need to focus him down, and he jumps away at the last moment. Now comes Plato as well, is going to be using that Meteor Strike on point. Isn't going to take anyone out there, but it's now going to continue to move on to the point. Asu and Plato are both taken out, and now Shawnee State also using the Deadeye and the sound barrier to just get them that little extra that they needed to get all 3 ticks and take the first point.
Yeah, the only problem here for Shawnee State is that that fight took them sound barrier, it took them, I think, 2 Deadeyes, it took them quite a few ultimates, so they're really only going to have a Blizzard and a Shatter up for this sort of snowball-y effect that we talk about on Assault. So it's going to be hard for them to just roll over the point, but Boise State doesn't really have an answer for the Blizzard. They don't have the rally up. I mean, Asu's only at 9% in climbing, so it's really going to come down to if Quidjable can get Grav off in time with Turtle using that sound barrier offensively. That could be the win condition here for Boise State.
Guac jumps right in there. The Shawnee State's front line there is just jumping up, trying to get some sort of damage. Out comes the Blizzard and the Shatter. Guac uses Primal Rage to take out the backline of Shawnee State. Finnick and HR Prime are also taken out by Asu and Plato. Now Dem72 was able to get 1 elimination onto Narbles there, but Boise State still with the advantage there. Guac picking up the pieces by taking out 72. Plato now takes out the other tank for Shawnee State, and a jump off the side from the Lucio means they are going to reset again.
Yeah, and a great job there by Boise State, for Quidjable in particular. We had our eyes on him most of that fight. A really fantastic job of holding on to that grab. That's one of those where, yeah, you could have grabbed, you would have won the fight going away, but now you have it for another fight. He can easily grab at any time. Turtle's not going to have the sound barrier up for probably one more fight unless he gets a ton of value. Maybe he gets a boop off the edge. We do see Finnick back on that Sombra. That's a bad way to start, as the grab's going to have to come out just to hold as Asu gets taken out.
We also see Plato is using the Meteor Strike, is able to take out Lucio. Immortality Field taken out by Quidjable as well. Large Bagel is going to be using that Nano Boost as well. Now we also see Monkey is just going to be going all out on Shawnee State, taking out 2 members, and Boise State is not even allowing Shawnee State to even get to the second point at all here, and is going to be staggering out further onto this Lucio. Is he going to be taking control of Finnick as well? Well, it's 2 against 1, so he's going to jump back to his team and just settle down.
Yeah, I'm really confused there how Turtle died to the Meteor Strike with the Immortality Field there. I think maybe Puff the MD was just a little late on that Immortality Field, or maybe Turtle moved out of it. But with this sound barrier available, Boise State's going to have to get a huge pick onto Lucio before this fight starts, or it's going to be really hard to cut through an aggro sound barrier.
And now from behind is using the Primal Rage, is going to be focusing on that Baptiste, pushing him off the edge. HR Prime is able to take out Quidjable though, and does use the Deadeye on point to take out Asu as well. But is that enough for Shawnee State to take the second point? Well, we do see Meteor Strike being used by Plato, and with 72 and Sigma also being taken out. That's the end of Shawnee State's push to the second point. But I mean, I like that McCree. He did as much as he could.
Yeah, I mean, I think HR Prime got a ton of value on that McCree. The Deadeye was really what opened up first point when he got a pick onto a member of Boise State, and then was able to charge another one to kind of just really seal the deal for first point. So a great play there from Shawnee State, never giving up. I mean, down to overtime, and they were still fighting to the very end. It's going to be tough to hold Boise State, but I mean, you just saw the recipe for success. If you can take time off the clock, make it harder and harder, if you can force Boise State to burn a lot of their ultimates capping first point, it makes that snowball effect so much harder because you don't have those 3-4 ults advantage that you're used to having. So Really going to be interesting here. Boise State has to try and cap the point efficiently, and if it takes them 2 or 3 attempts, they need to make sure they hold on to ults instead of using them to capture the point.
Well, we do see Finnick is going to be using the Torp here, setting up a turret. As HR Prime switches on to the Ash, we do see Plato is still using that Doomfist. It's going to be using Double Bubble, actually, is the comp that Boise State is going to be bringing out here as a large bagel. Deciding whether he wants to go on Zen, he's just deciding between all of them.
Yeah, he's bouncing around. I mean, the Mercy would make sense to sort of pocket Narbles offensively. For the most part, depending on what a large bagel picks, it will be the exact same comp that Boise State has been running. That Moira is, I guess the supports will be the only 2 differences, but Boise State's going to be very interesting here. I think it's going to be a lot on Narbles and Plato, get some backline value onto Turtle.
Well, I know Asu's going to be appreciating having that orb on cooldown more often as the cooldown's been reduced for that. Narbles is actually going to find the orb placed on him from Turtle there. They're going to be taking the side route here. Now, this is the same route that Shawnee State took on their first try to get the point here. So will Boise State have more success with it? Narbles comes in here, and Guac is actually going to be picked off by HR Prime there. They're going to find a little bit trouble there. Now they're finding the same trouble that Shawnee State had. They're trying to find which door they want to go out of, but those doors are so narrow, they're going to find so much damage placed onto them as they exit. But now they're able to do it. The HR Prime, another pick onto Plato.
Yeah, Doomfist does lose a lot of value with a Baptiste just existing, because Immortality Field counters every single thing that a Doomfist wants to do. Is now Narbles is looking for this flank, going to try and peek his head in the room, not able to find anyone. Now he's got the support isolated, just has to be careful. That pocket onto HR Prime is going to scare him away, especially with that Orb of Discord. And he's probably going to be taken out here, and yeah, he'll die off screen.
Now Plato getting the elimination onto Bap. They're actually both supports taken out from Shawnee State. Now Guac is going to do great work on this Wrecking Ball. He's going to go right into Shawnee State, getting another elimination. Is going to be able to cap the point here. Is still waiting for the rest of the team, though, because this Orisa is still providing a little bit of a problem here. And that Torbjorn is going to try to rush in there, gets hit with the Wrecking Ball, and taken out by Plato.
Yeah, this is should be what Boise State needed to be able to cap. I think a recontest here from Shawnee State is a really poor idea, because unless they're able to wipe, this is the snowball effect in action. Boise State's going to have multiple ults at their disposal here, and they're going to be able to capture this point regardless of what Shawnee State is doing, as they just kind of trickled in one at a time. So not only did they give Boise State the point with 5 minutes on the clock, they also are going to have Boise State with 4 ultimates available, and if they really want to wait, they could just slam 6 ults right into Shawnee State and just win this first fight going away. They only need 1 tick, so ult management doesn't have to be as cautious as usual.
Yeah, but speaking of ult management here, what time does the Transcendence, does Turtle decide to use the Transcendence to try to save his team against Boise State's ultimate? We do see the copy coming on to the Baptiste there, and we do see Amp Matrix is going to be thrown down, but Bob is going to be taking out Narbles. As Bob finds himself able to take out some of Boise State's DPS. We did see Supercharger also used by 72 there. There goes Transcendence, but it's way off point. So Boise State just takes the point with plenty of time to spare.
Yeah, just all those ultimates Boise State had. I mean, then they even had the sound barrier in the graph coming up soon as well, so that Transcendence would have been hard punished had Shawnee State even defended that first point. But Boise State just feels like they're in ultimate control right now. This feels like a team that knows what they want to do. They have their eyes set on this play versus championship, and I thought it was best of 5. We'll have to see if this is best of 3 or not, but Boise State either way looking like they're on their way to the winner's circle if they haven't already.
We actually have been informed best of 3 as far as we know.
It's 5.
Oh, 5. Okay.
It's like we're just waiting to see what map number 3 is going to be.
Okay. That makes sense.
That just always what caused the confusion. No worries, it happens, but looks like it's going to be very interesting. I mean, I think map's choice aside, Shawnee State, I mean, they put up a fight there, but it just feels like Boise State is, they know what they want. They know they want this spot in at least what would be the semifinals here through today, is we'll have the round of 8 coming up after this if Boise State is able to manage to take care of business. So I think Boise State has all eyes focused on making sure. They've been inspired by Wasey, who's won national championships in 2 days in a row. Boise State Overwatch is trying to make it a potentially 3 days in a row if they can keep winning.
Well, it is kind of just kind of a testament to, congratulations to Shawnee State for beating Colorado State. But boy, that is a matchup that Boise State would have loved to get revenge on the Rams for.
Yeah, I mean, and they'll see Colorado State again in the Mountain West Overwatch series that we have every Wednesday, every Thursday on the Boise State channel about halfway through the regular season there. So that would have been a nice little interesting scouting opportunity for Boise State against Colorado State. It is nice to see Mountain West teams starting to, be represented in these events. Colorado State here. We had Fresno State unfortunately lost to UC Santa Cruz in NECC, but they're still semifinalists there. And so it is nice to see that the rest of the Mountain West is really, coming to play with Boise State in these tournaments outside the Mountain West. I know inside the conference, UNLV still runs it, but outside the Mountain West, Boise State had been that figurehead, and I'm really glad to see Colorado State and Fresno State make an appearance. But right now, Shawnee State prevented our Mountain West showdown, and Boise State's, little maybe, angry that they didn't get a chance to, as you said, get some revenge on Colorado State for things that have transpired in this semester in different esports.
Well, if there's any anger, they are certainly getting these wins in dramatic fashion. So the energy is certainly on the side of the Broncos as we are getting ready for the third match. Just waiting for, the footage to come through. But Shawnee State is still going to have control of the map choice for hybrid, I believe, is the third choice we see here. So it really could be, do they choose a standard map that we've seen? They chose Volskaya, or do they try their just general strategy of trying off-the-wall things, and do they pull out a map that we almost never see?
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting. I know at one point Boise State's strategy was to practice the unconventional map, so focus more on Blizzard World, on different maps, and not onto Kings Row. So they don't know how far they've gone with that strategy. Kings Row seems to have been the choice, and Boise State does have that very unique strategy that I will say teams have started to figure out. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to go off the wall, Eichenwald's a great choice. It feels like that's sort of that niche map that teams have picked out. I don't really think that would work well for Shawnee State, because Boise State has been the only team that's really shown that they want to play any sort of aerial champion. Is in the Echo. Finnick kind of wants that Sombra. So your goal for Shawnee State, if he wants to play the Sombra, which is fine, you got to pick a map that complements the Sombra. So you got to pick a map that can limit the amount of aerial heroes that Boise State can play, because the more heroes that are in the air, the less value that Sombra EMP is ever going to get.
Well, we still have yet to decide what Shawnee State picks.
Sounds like it's going to be Havana. So it actually looks like we're going to Escort instead of Hybrid next. So Boise State on that close hold is going to be very, very dangerous if they do try and pull that one off and keep Shawnee State in the spawn. Also got to watch out for those snipers hanging up in that upper perch. Just get a perfect sight line right down the road. So I think that it's really going to come down to what does Boise State want to do. Do they want to close hold and really sort of demoralize Shawnee State, or do they want to sit back, let Shawnee State maybe push up towards them, and that's really
going double sniper. So I think they heard your advice, Fish, and just what a great sight line they have.
Yeah, we look like Boise State, as we said, they have so much, versatility with their comps. Going to put in Icy. We're also going to see Pleb and Nerdy Bird get in as well. So definitely, making sure all these players stay as fresh as possible, stay available. So looks like they're going to opt for is the coachable punch as a trash can.
I thought that was a newsstand.
Well, what's the difference nowadays? I remember the last time
I was thinking it Fish, but you said it. So.
I remember the last time I purchased a newspaper from a newsstand, and this was what I was coming down to. Boise State's, they're not going to close hold. They're just going to simply wait back, and so Shawnee State's going to have a chance here and maybe take a fight. But if Narbles or Plato pops off, it's just going to be unfortunate.
And we're just going to have to see how those, they are going into an indoors route here, so they do kind of have in mind that if they go into that open area, they're going to have a lot of snipers focused on them, so they're trying to pick the route that works out best for them, but Plato still manages to find a pick onto Finnick there, putting Shawnee State at the disadvantage. Now they're going to try to move inside, or at least force them to try to, do they have to go out of these doors through that choke point? Another pick from Pleb and Nerdy on to 72 there. It's just one at a time. Shawnee State can't get any momentum.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you look at this Boise State comp, I mean, I'm not going to call Zenyatta a sniper, but if you play him as aggressively as we've seen Boise State play him in the past, he does have that advantage to sort of fill in as a half-tier DPS, the amount of damage that you could do with those Orb of Discord and those headshots. So that's just so much damage that Shawnee State has to avoid by sitting in this close corridor, but Boise State's more than content just letting them sit there and then eventually pick them out as they finally run out. Nice halt there to reposition. Forces out the fortify from Icy, but Boise State should be able to stabilize.
Yeah, they're not even after worrying about forcing out ultimates. You know, it's just a cooldown here or there, and Boise State's in a pretty good position. As Plato uses that Dragon Strike, is going to be going low on health as Finnick tries to get a flank onto the back line here, but the Orb of Discord is thrown onto him as Nerdy tries to take him out and is not able to do it, as Finnick now also using the Pulse Bomb to take out that Immortality field, but is stopped there by Pleb. A little bit of revenge there from the other support, and Boise State, another Gravitic Flux is used to take out HR Prime, still keeping Shawnee State to about the same position.
Yeah, Shawnee State just unfortunately, they have to take a very, very telegraphed path to the payload, as they have to go right through that little doorway that Narbles is staring at. And he has the infrared side available. He should be able to kind of give Boise State the information they need as Shawnee State's trying to change things up. They are going to have the Transcendence available, so they will have some extra healing, and it will make the Zenyatta immune to the snipers, as Plato's going to get a headshot onto Finnick, but that's one of the few positives Shawnee State has going for them right now, is there's a minute and a half on the clock, and they're waiting for a respawn from that Tracer.
They just got to wait, and now they are going to be pushing forward. They have only really taken the side routes here. That just really shows the power that Boise State snipers have over this area, as Amp Matrix is going to be thrown out and Transcendent is going to be used in response. We also have an Amp Matrix from Shawnee State ready to be used, and it is thrown out as well. Here comes the Dragon Strike, though, from Plato. Going to be thrown out, not going to pick. It is actually going to pick up one of their tanks. That's going to be a double, and then the eliminations just start flowing through for Boise State, getting the team kill onto Shawnee State, and all but assuring this first checkpoint isn't going to be taken.
Yeah, last fight here for Shawnee State. They are going to have the Gravitic Flux up for Sin, so if he's able to find a huge value onto multiple members of Boise State, maybe especially onto those snipers. But unfortunately, Turtle just using that Transcendence kind of aggro-y, just kind of cost his team. He didn't have an answer for that Dragon Strike.
Now Boise State, this is the last chance for Shawnee State to take the point. But Narbles is going to get that pick onto HR Prime. Now only one DPS left for Shawnee State. They are splitting up just a little. You see the Lucio up on the second level, probably going to try to knock down some of the snipers up to down to ground level. The Hanzo just climbs back up now, and now we see a Gravitic Flux is available. Almost taking out one member of Shawnee State, but if you're not on the point, then it's not even going to matter at this point.
Yeah, I mean, even then, the Immortality field had been used just on 2 members of Shawnee State. They didn't even get the Gravitic Flux out. And Boise State definitely put themselves in a very great spot, not even with the close hold, but just simply using that sniper advantage that you can get on first point Havana, because you can just see all the way down that road. And now the question's going to be interesting here for Shawnee State. If they attempt the same strategy, if you close hold and get wiped, it will be very hard to actually get back to the spot you need to defend in time. So I think you have to hang back and kind of hope that Finnick or HR Prime, and HR Primes look really good on the McCree, are able to have the same value that Narbles and Plato did on those snipers.
Was that a shopping bag in midair there? It looked like a like a shopping bag floating in midair.
You know, maybe, I mean, Shawnee State might feel like a plastic bag floating in the wind right now.
Well, oh, Boise State, they're going to be doing, it looks like they're doing pirate ship. They're just
maybe. I mean, last time we saw the Bastion come out, he never even stepped onto the payload.
I mean, that is true. He tried to get a flank. He was able to get a little bit of damage here and there on Junkertown, but then was taken out. So I don't know if they'll just, you know, try to do traditional pirate ship at this point. But all they need to do is not even get to the first checkpoint. They just need to make it past where Shawnee State did. So I can see if you just want to try pirate ship once and just try to drive it as fast as you can.
This close hold is very scary for Shawnee State because, yes, it can work to burn time, but we've seen very few teams burn all of the time off, which means if you get wiped, you have to make sure you hurry back to the point because you might not get to the spot you need to get to recontest.
Oh, and now here comes the Bastion. Ott from the other side there. Cretion isn't going to make it to him. is able to heal up. The anti-nade going on to a lot of members of Shawnee State right now. Lucio is hopping just behind that point, able to get a few ticks, and there Lucio goes down as well. So now isn't even going to be going on the point. The basket is just going to be going up and getting in the face of Shawnee State. Actually going to be setting up on top. There's actually just going to take a side route here, try to catch them completely off guard.
Yeah, boy, Shawnee State actually getting wiped fast enough to be able to contest one final time.
Oh, and look at Plato already. He's already up to 90%, so just could use the tank here to just cap it off. Is going to be going into tank form. And now we see Fortify being used by Orisa, is just going to try to get right in their faces, takes out the Immortality Field, and there's one on to 72. And Boise State just needs to pull into that parking spot, and they will have capped this off. Matrix thrown to take out that Bastion, but it's a little bit of a consolation at this point. Boise State taking the win 3-0 against Shawnee State.
Yeah, no concern there for Boise State. Almost every player for the Broncos roster was able to get some playing time in that matchup and stay fresh for what lies ahead for Boise State. But, you know, absolutely great response. Like I said, this is something Boise State has struggled with in almost all the esports teams. At times have had issues where, you know, they've had a team where it felt like on paper they were incredibly favored, and the other team was able to, you know, pull a fast one on them. We just saw it with Madden, where it felt like, you know, I think even some of the NECC casters were predicting that it was going to be a 2-0 win for Boise, and it ended up coming down to the final play of the final game, and it was just all craziness. And so you never know what a team's going to be able to do, especially with how we talk about how Boise State, you know, they, you know, constantly streaming, one of the most easily scoutable teams. If you're able to catch them live, or if you want to drop a subscription and watch the past VODs, it's all there for you. So sometimes teams have caught Boise State off guard. So a huge applause to Boise State for holding strong here, taking care of business with Shawnee State, and moving on to the next round.
Well, that's going to do it for this particular match in Boise State, but we will be back with more Overwatch action, so stay tuned to this channel. But for now, Boise State continues on in their play versus journey. Coming on here, Graviton Surge is going to stop that monkey right as he used his Primal Rage there. Now they're going to burn down Zephyr as well. Take the point as Shawnee State files in one after the other. It's only a matter of time at this point. Barrage also used there. Boise State still have yet to capture it. Now they do. Just seen that Amp Matrix, they're not even going through the door at this point. They do try the Symmetric Teleport, though, again, and have managed to go onto this left route instead. But the Zarya is caught behind and isn't able. Now we've seen the Shatter is going to go on from the other way. Both teams reverse positions, but that isn't going to matter for Boise State. They right there. It's just a little bit of defense from that grab. Now comes the Blizzard out from Shawnee State. How many members of Boise? It is going to freeze the Zarya, but Narbles is already going to take out the DPS as well as Plato before they can even follow up on that. And now that Shatter and Gravitic Flux is also gone from Shawnee State. Well, we do see a couple of picks here and there, but Guac is just happening to use that Primal Rage in there, is able to take out the Reinhardt as well. The Reinhardt actually gets a bit of shield there from the Lucio Sand Barrier and is actually pinned. Guac gets pinned there and almost taken out by the Reinhardt, but some backup from Quitchable and a double from Quitch, a triple from Quitchable. Oh, and now here comes the Bastion. Ott from the other side there. Cretion isn't going to make it to him. He's able to heal up. The anti-nade going on to a lot of members of Shawnee State right now. Lucio is hopping just behind that point, able to get a few ticks, and there Lucio goes down as well. So now isn't even going to be going on the point. The Bastion is
We understand an upside-down world. We understand a rogue virus, 0 jobs, and stratospheric tuition. But they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Not so fast. Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will. We will because our future is the future. Because the life we have chosen has prepared us for this moment in history. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day. We're going to save families from disaster and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny. We invite you to join us. The next greatest generation is now.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Was it all for nothing? Those memories. Was it all for nothing? Was it all for nothing? So was it all for nothing? If I stay, would you run from me? If I go, would you be happy here in the end? So is it all for nothing? Was it all for nothing? Those memories. Was it all for nothing? Was it all for nothing? So is it all for nothing?
Welcome back to the Game Pants Esports Arena. I'm still your host, Jacob Jem Palmer, and we rejoin Boise State in their journey through the play versus postseason. They have moved on to the quarterfinals, and they will be going up against Oregon State, the Broncos versus the Beavers, in a battle across the Cascades. Fish, what's the general history with Boise State and this team?
This year in play versus in the regular season, Boise State, I mean, they were the #1 seed. They didn't lose a game, and that trend showed against Oregon State. Boise State 3-0'd this team a few weeks ago. They come in as the #1 seed. Oregon State is the #8 seed. If you are just joining us, Boise State, the higher seed, or the lower seed, depending on how you want to read the bracket, will always get a pick first map. So Boise State will pick Lijiang. That will apply throughout the tournament. The higher seed always gets picked. And when you're the 1 seed, that means you always get to pick Gem Mountain. And Boise State, they like this Lijiang map. And again, we talked about this with Shawnee State. With Boise State having this early 3-0, there's a lot of pressure on Oregon State to do something unexpected to catch Boise State off guard, because Boise State feels supremely confident as we head into this first fight.
Boise State is going to be on the red side, we can see, and Oregon State has decided to bring out a little bit of a far mercy composition. Boise State instead is going to be using double bubble, as Lum on Oregon State is the first one to get a pick, but it's quickly answered back by Boise State, as Walk getting a double there, and the DPS is coming through for Boise State as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of pressure is going to be on Archimage in the first matchup. He definitely had some times where he was caught out by Boise State, so a lot of pressure onto him for this side of Oregon State to keep Lum alive on this Pharah. Boise State doesn't have a great answer right now, as Alex able to get a huge pick.
Now with that pick coming through onto Boise State, they're going to have a harder time defending this one. See here, they're going over the bridge. The Beavers are right here, able to get onto the point, and we see Goblin in the backline here trying to take Lum out of the air, and it's going to be Kel who actually gets the final hit on him, and a stun onto the Wrecking Ball right there, but heals back up to full health. Is going to be able to get away, is actually still at half health. The Sticky Bomb is thrown out there by Goblin, isn't going to pick up anybody. Boise State's still managing to get a hold of this point right now, and trying to take out that Pharah out of the air.
Ooh, nice job by Goblin there, barely staying alive. Unfortunately, that height advantage pulls him off here. We got a Transcendence versus a Rally here on the point.
Yeah, we have a bunch of ultimates going off at once. Sticky Bomb is going to be able to take out Walk, as Nano Boost and Rally are as was used. And now we also see Graviton Surge. It's going to be bunching up Boise State, but there isn't too much of a follow-up from it. No Aim, No Brain is going to be knocking Kel off of the side, and we do see the res coming through for Boise State, as Plato is able to pick up a one-person Deadeye, able to take out Izok there. And we also see a barrage being used by Lum to knock Boise State off of this point, and that's going to be the point taken for Oregon State.
Talked about this the other day. It was just the word quirky, and that's what kind of we're looking at here. This has kind of devolved into like a team deathmatch style, honestly, Jem, where, I mean, we had alts kind of being used solo committed, so it was very, very strange. Boise State, they've got that Nano coming up soon. Nano Wince is incredibly strong. No alts for Oregon State besides the Minefield. Boise State's got to get a pick on the Lum, though, with Plato.
Now Boise State's looking for that pick as they are ready to engage right here. We see both tanks are taking the left route here, but we don't necessarily know if any of the other DPSs, maybe Hoyth is trying to get some sort of a Goblin, excuse me, got the flank onto Hoyth and was able to get a pick onto him. He's going to take it by taking out the backline by getting rid of that Zenyatta, and Plato also taking out No Aim, No Brain. Goblin is going to get his third by taking out Izok, now his fourth by taking out Archmage, and Goblin on this Tracer, my goodness.
Yeah, wins the 1v1 versus Hoist. We see it again. You look for Boise State, though. No ultimates really coming up besides that Deadeye. They even committed the Nano. They're going into Minefield, Rocket Barrage as well, plus a Pulse Bomb for Hoyt. They've got to be careful they don't overcommit in this fight.
Now Boise State needs to get past 71% from Oregon State, who does have the barrage available, but that Mercy was picked off by Plato, and that could be huge there. Now Lum doesn't have that healing or the res to pocket him, and is going to be able to take out Kel, but Plato answers that back by taking Lum out of the air with that Deadeye. Pulse Bomb goes on to Asu, and it is back and forth as Guac uses the Primal Rage, gets stunned there for a moment, but still is able to push Oregon State off of the point there as we go past 85%, and now it's going to be toward the point where Oregon State has to try to stagger this out and come in one at a time.
Oregon State, if they can get on the point, I like their chances. Minefield, Transcendence, and Gravitic Flux all coming up. If Oregon State can get there for a fight, they have a good opportunity. That pick, they got to get a huge res here from Archimage.
And now we also saw a little bit of Lum trying to get onto the point there. We see Transcendence is going to be used by Oregon State as well as the Valkyrie, just trying to give them the survivability they need to get onto the point as Archimage is eliminated by Plato, and now Elk is also eliminated by Guac. Both supports down for Oregon State. That means this Wrecking Ball is going to be mowed down in terms of health as Boise State focuses on it. A spin to win comes out from Oregon State, still contesting on the point, as well as a Tracer from Oregon State is now taken out by a large bagel, and Boise State is able to secure the point.
Yeah, great response there from Boise State after the slowish start. I really like they were there doing it. Unfortunately, just that Pharah never got the value you hoped for. You always saw like flashes where you're like, okay, Lum's gonna absolutely pop off. I just never really had that big Rocket Barrage. Rocket Barrage, of course, one of the trickiest ults in the game to use because it does so much damage, but you're forced to stand still. Anyone, and we mean anyone, we've seen almost any hero in the game kill a Pharah while she's ulted because you're mobile. So it was a great job by Lum. I think that maybe you put that on the back burner, and on this map on Lijiang Tower, I'm expecting double Symmetras, and whichever team gets on that point first has a really good chance to set up some turrets, make it hard for the other team to siege. Didn't quite happen in the Midland game earlier where Boise State had a Symmetra and then lost. And the other thing to watch out for, Jem, whoever has Symmetra and loses needs to swap off quickly. She's not good in re-attacking points.
Ooh, Oregon State coming out really fast on that Symmetra are going to be the first ones to get on the point, but Guac is the first to get a pick onto Lum, putting Boise State at the advantage. Even though they weren't to the point first, they might be able to turn it around as Symmetra didn't have really a lot of time to set up any turrets on that point as Kel and Plato pick up an elimination each. Plato makes it a double and a boop off the side onto Hoyt, and a large bagel is going to be the final lay in the coffin for Oregon State as Boise State takes the point.
Yeah, and we see Goblin immediately swap off of that Symmetra. Hoyt does a great job. I was just about to say, you need to be able to swap off that Symmetra when you lose a fight. Great response there from Oregon State to swap that. Huge pick for Boise State. Stalls them out a little bit, but they're still going to have a fight coming up. Watch for this Ant Matrix from Asu to set the tone for Boise State.
We also see Deadeye coming online for Plato, and that could make them in an awkward position here, but the shield is held out as well as the defense matrix to keep them alive, but Plato follows that up by taking out No Aim, No Brain with some help from this amp matrix placed down by Asu. Boise State is just holding the Beavers to this point, not allowing them to get through the doorway. Now they're going to get in their face even more. But now here comes the other Reinhardt. No Aim, No Brain is going to knock Boise State a little bit back and make a little bit of territory as Goblin is taken out.
Boise State has to retreat. Amp Matrix up for Elk. It's going to be thrown down. Boise State needs to line of sight. Watch Guac versus No Aim, No Brain. Both Shatters coming up. Whoever blinks first is going to lose that battle.
And now here comes Guac with his Shatter, but goes down before he can use it. A large bagel does get a boop off the side onto Lum, and Kel is going to be able to hold the point with this Primal Rage there, allowing Boise State to continue ticking up. But there's still one member on the point. It's that Lucio. Can he get rid of him? He is trying to focus onto Archimage there. And now here comes Horth trying to take out, but it looks like he was just going to try to be eliminated there and stop too much of a stagger from coming onto the Beavers.
They can get a pick on to Archimage. That'd be huge. Both sound barriers up here. Guac dying again. Bad fight here for Boise State without a main tank.
Now Plato is able to have that Deadeye available to him as Pulse Bomb was just used by Goblin. Here comes another Deadeye, not going to pick up anybody, instead going to just get charged right into by Izok. And now Boise State is finding themselves heavily outnumbered on this point. Cal is taken out by Lum, followed by Hoyt. The DPS is coming through to pick off the remaining Broncos and give the Beavers the point.
Yeah, that was unfortunate that Boise State committed that sound barrier there. Guac was down. You needed to just hold it. You could have had Shatter and sound barrier up and just kind of run through the point. Great job by Oregon State flipping it, and it still comes down to Guac. He has had this Shatter up for a few fights. If he can land it, it'd be huge, but we've seen this before. He lands a huge Shatter, and Hoyt hits the back line with the Death Blossom. Boise State can still lose the fight.
We're going to see how good this Shatter is. The Amp Matrix thrown down by Asu, still trying to line it up. Flame Strike goes through the Amp Matrix. And we also see Diva Bomb being thrown out by Izok to split up the Broncos a little bit. And now here comes the Shatter, able to find the Reinhardt, but isn't able to follow up like they wish. And that Amp Matrix thrown down by Elec, but a great Pulse Bomb onto No Aim, No Brain. Still gives the Broncos an advantage to push onto the point, and Goblin is going to be flanked from the side, but gets stunned by the Flashbang. And also a Deadeye going on to Large Bagel. Means the Broncos, unless this Deadeye is huge, probably aren't going to be able to push to the point.
Hoyt still has this Death Blossom. He's trying to set something cheeky up. Would have loved for Boise State to get that off. As you see, they're going to be reset, but that's an awful Death Blossom for Hoyt. He just wasted it for some overkill, and that means Boise State's next recontest is going to have a lot easier time.
Well, they do have one ultimate back online. It is going to be the Amp Matrix, but they need to try to be able to get a pick here. Now, Izok is not available for the Beavers, so Boise State has a little bit of a few seconds to try to keep that advantage going. Amp Matrix is going to be thrown down and is stunned right there by the Shatter coming through from the Beavers. They still are able to survive as Immortality Field was thrown down, taken out by Izok, and now it is still even for both of these teams. Hoyt is taken out by a Large Bagel now with a little bit of DPS gone, and the Diva also taken out. The Broncos need to charge on here to the point. Amp Matrix thrown down by Elk, and that might not be the best one since he's going to find himself focused down on this point. The Broncos are able to take it back.
Yeah, there's the sound barrier from a Large Bagel. I mean, it doesn't matter, I guess, is why he threw it out there. But now we get the recontest. Boise State's got to be careful. Unfortunately, Hoyt gets just charged off the edge. They're still going to be able to recontest here for Oregon State. That sound barrier might have been needed a little bit more than Boise State expected.
Now, Izok does have the Diva Bomb available. Might throw it out at the last moment. Very low on health. Immortality Field thrown out. Diva Bomb onto the point. And Plato is able to take out Izok. Fori able to remech. And now we also saw Archimage and the Reinhardt being focused on, pushed off the point, and that is enough for the Broncos to take it.
Yeah, that map was a lot of questionable sound barrier usage. It was from both teams. I mean, we saw for Boise State, they had one after Guac went down that they could have saved, and then we saw another one come out. I think it was kind of like a, oh, we've won the point and we'll just throw it down, ended up almost costing them. And then Archimage, right towards the end there, throws out this weird aggro sound barrier coming off a three-man Shatter that they had no follow-up on. So very, very interesting Lucio play here all around. Boise State does get the job done, but even though it was a 2-0, Oregon State put up a lot of fight for a team that had been 3-0'd in the regular season.
Well, the Idaho Army National Guard is one of the proud sponsors of Boise State Esports, and they invite you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. With more than 10 positions offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for, the Idaho Army National Guard is one of the best teams to join out there. Reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming.
I will say, I think that it was very interesting for how much we were complimentary of Boise State's really solid play in our first series tonight against Shawnee State. The one thing that kind of caught me off guard here is that Oregon State on that first map for the first 20 or 30 seconds really baited Boise State into this like team deathmatchy style of gameplay where it was just a lot of ults that just kind of were just thrown out just so randomly. It was almost like kind of hard to keep track of who was ulting and why they were ulting. And if Oregon State can kind of, you know, bring the game down to that level just because it is so sort of like YOLO-y solo queue style, maybe they have a good chance because they ended up winning that. Boise State kind of refocused. They did a good job. I just talked about there on that second map, the sound barriers were very peculiar from both sides. So if Oregon State could kind of, you know, just crush this game into this weird team deathmatchy style, I like their chances because that's when they were at their best. When they try to go toe-to-toe against Boise State, we see why Boise State 3-0'd this team in the regular season. The Broncos are just incredibly strong right now when they play the game as Overwatch is intended, as an objective-based shooter, not team deathmatch.
And if they had a 3-0, win against this team earlier in the season, that might be what Oregon State was trying to take advantage of. If Boise State isn't going into this with the right mindset and might just not be taking this match as seriously as they should, then if Oregon State can get them into a point where they're just kind of catch Boise State in a non-strategic place where they're more comfortable with just using solo ultimates trying to get a team deathmatch, then that's where they can come alive with maybe capturing the point. And they were able to, even though it was 2-0, Oregon State made a very competitive run at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Boise State does a good job preparing to make sure that they take all their opponents seriously. I've been in some of the scouting meetings, and they do a really good job. But then the problem is applying that to the game. And it can be very hard at times in the game when you get rolling. I mean, everyone's been there in any game they played. You start rolling a team, and you start having too much fun with your squad, and things have gone south. And teams have blown big leads. I've blown big leads with my friends. We're like, wait, how did we lose this game? We were up 30 kills. How did this even happen? So it's something Boise has to keep a very close eye on. I mean, Guac had like 2 fights in a row with the Shatter where he just got absolutely gunned down by Oregon State, and it's just the micro things for Boise State. If they start playing as a team, we saw in the end that end up being the victorious part was they played as a team. They still 2-0'd them on Control. We'll go to Anubis next, and this is a very interesting map. It's the only map we've seen Boise State lose all day, and they got to be very careful that they are able to snowball properly.
Well, in between these maps, we do have Doc's keys to the game in Overwatch. Never take a fair fight, which means to take fights in unexpected places when they are unprepared and when you can have ability advantages. Doc's keys to the game brought to you by Count Identity Trust Global Network, which delivers real-time fraud protection, account protection, and enables personalized customer experiences for more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. Quick and accurate identity trust decisions. Count.com, KOUNT.com. Just a little bit of review, Doc's keys to the game, because we had to get into that first match so quickly, and now the second match is coming up. And Temple of Anubis, one of the most interesting maps. I'm going to be looking for what route the teams choose, Fish, because it can really determine how powerful heroes are, determining what route they take.
Yeah, and I'll also be really curious if either team attacking brings out a Widowmaker. We saw it from Midland today where they had a very talented Widowmaker player who absolutely rained havoc on Boise State with multiple headshots onto those backline supports. So if you're able to get up onto that little ledge that's right behind where our camera's looking right now, and you make those plays on that Widowmaker, it can be so hard for that defending team if one of their supports get caught behind a shield. So watch out for Hoyt. He can get huge value, and you can see Oregon State, they're trying to set up for a Nanoblade combo later in this game to maybe take point 1 or 2.
They're going to be pushing through the central route here, and a bit of dynamite thrown out, and that is going to be going on to No Aim, No Brain as Kel gets the final hit onto him, putting Boise State at a disadvantage, putting a little bit of damage onto that Ana, who has to duck back. And there's one member, that Genji, who's gone up the left side and is going to be trying to flank onto Boise State's backline, but they are well aware of him as he takes a whole lot of damage, needs to get out of there as the Mercy comes in to try to give him a little bit of healing at the last moment. Boise State has managed to kind of split this team up as they are not making a coordinated push.
Yeah, nice push back on the dive from No Aim, No Brain. Izok incredibly low as well, and unfortunately Boise State gives Lum an elimination onto a Pharah too. That's just insane, and a nice res from Archimage keeps Oregon State at full life here.
And able to take out North on the top level there. And, you talk about, the sniper strategy, but Boise State is able to answer that back and go sniper to sniper. But they're going to find themselves fighting over the point here as No Aim, No Brain is able to eliminate Asu. And now Plato is going to find himself trying to get rid of this Mercy, is able to take out the Mercy, but with No Aim, No Brain, Primal Raging on the point is going to push back all of the members of Boise State and allow the Beavers to take the first point.
Yeah, well, Boise State, they could opt for a recontest here if they really want to, as we do get a pause coming out here. Hopefully we'll be able to see what that is and get it taken up very quickly. But yeah, it's curious to see maybe Boise State, they might be able to recontest. They don't have that Winston who would get that insane speed onto the point of a Wrecking Ball, so it might be a little harder. And you look at those ults, the Nano Blade's coming online. I think the Dragon Blade is up. The Nano is about 9% away for Elk. So we talk about how snowball assault could be. There's nothing more snowbally than capturing a point and immediately launching a Nano Blade Genji into your backline. Now, Boise State has the Bob available, trying to even things out, but if they don't recontest as soon as we come out of this pause, a lot of pressure and a lot of eyes are going to be on that Genji because he could absolutely roll this point, and it's not about full capping on your first charge. It's about getting those 1 ticks or that 2 ticks that makes your next attempt or your attempt 3-4 minutes later the one that lets you wrap up the game, because it's so hard to get a full value, but 1 or 2 ticks makes every single fight need less and less on the point.
Yeah, it really is going to be a scenario of, do they use the Nano Blade too fast, or are they use it at the right time? Because one is going to burn through all of their ultimates. The second is the win condition overall.
Yeah, and Boise State, I mean, outside of a great accretion or maybe, you know, Bob popping off, they don't really have an answer for this Nano Blade. So you have to keep an eye on Lum. If he gets nanoed, if they have the support of his team, and Isaac at 75% as well on that grab could be a huge issue. So watch for the Rocket Barrage, not the value they needed, and now Lum, he has the Nano Blade. Here we go.
Yeah, here comes the Nano Blade. Is going to be taking out a large Bago, following by Plato. And Kel is going to also use the Gravitic Flux to just go right into Boise State. Is trying to defend here. In Oregon State, no aim, no brain, able to pick up a double. Lum following it up with Kel, and now it is just a stagger onto the point, one after the other. Oregon State has been successful, in fact, in the matter that they have managed to pick up 1 tick. Bob coming out onto the play field here as Goblin, and Goblin is able to take out no aim, no brain. Will Boise State be able to get a foothold back on this point? Oregon State has stopped capturing it, and Boise State manages to keep them at bay, but that is still 1 tick gotten for the Beavers.
Yeah, and that, exactly. It might not look great on paper. You might be like, wow, they only got 1 tick. I mean, but that is the whole point of this 2CP, is you build up for your ult of your Oregon State, you get 1 tick every single time. It only takes you 3 or 4 of those fights. So you see the Nano Blade already at 50%. That's what their win condition is, but a huge grab with no response for Boise State could also lead to a tick for Oregon State as well.
We see Guac here is going to be trying to charge in, gets hit with the Graviton Surge. There is going to be stopping him right there, and he gets taken out by Hoyt. Now No Aim, No Brain does get res by Archimage. And Cal is able to get a double onto Isaac and Hoyt. Boise State is managing to stop Oregon State right now. They're going to be sending them back to the spawn for just a little bit of a soft reset here. Going to be waiting for that Genji Reflect to cool down.
Yeah, and that was a great immortality field by Asu, the only really defensive option Boise State had, and it did everything but keep Guac alive, so that was a great job. But here's the Nano Blade combo once again. So watch for Bob to get called in from Hoyt, and then immediately to Nano Blade. Boise State's got no answer. They've got an Ant Matrix to maybe deny them, but they don't have that Gravitic Flux to stun this time, so they've got to be careful.
And here comes Bob, the first step as Nano Boost, and now the Blade is going to come out, taking out Asu into Goblin next, and Plato is on the next chopping block as Elk is rezzed by Archimage, putting Oregon State back up to 5-man. Is going to be able to get Boise State into an advantage there. Large Bagel does get a boop onto Horth to answer that back, but No Aim, No Brain getting a double on his own. Now here comes Goblin trying to recontest the point, is going to be using Meteor Strike against Oregon State to send them back. Only Immortality Field is picked up by Elk there. Now Goblin takes out Archimage there, and without that support, without both supports, the Beavers are going to be sent back yet again, but with another tick.
Boise State was microseconds away from winning that fight because Elk died as soon as he nanoed, and we saw this in a game earlier this week where a nano Dragon Blade got 4 kills and a Dragon Blade with no nano got 1. So that is just the difference that Nano makes, is a large Bagel does get picked. He has the sound barrier, though, so that should allow Boise State to sustain the next fight. But that was the right call. If you kill that Anna before she gets the Nano off, that Blade loses so much value.
Now Boise State having Plato picked off by Hoyt. No Aim, No Brain comes in. Kel gets in his face to contest, is able to take him out. Both supports are actually going to be credited with that, but in comes Lund with a punch to Guac's face. Hoyt is able to take out the Immortality Field, and Oregon State gets back onto the point to contest it. They do have Graviton Surge available to them. Boise State might just trying to save up some ultimates there. There comes the Graviton Surge, but the beat comes out trying to stop it, and Plato also uses a solo Death Blossom onto Hoyt, and the Blade is actually going to be pulled out before it is nano boosted, and I'm not seeing any sort of mileage being brought out from that blade. That was some interesting usage by the Beavers there.
I think they did it because the sound barrier from a large bagel actually got canceled. As we've talked about, there's a micro cast time for most of the ults in Overwatch where for Lucio, he has to slam into the ground. He didn't get the slam off, so I think they saw no sound barrier. Let's just go. And I think they also, as you see, they wanted to swap off the Genji. That's why they wanted to maybe make that change. So unfortunately, they were really close to winning as that sound barrier got canceled, but Boise State does a great job. And we talked about, you can't trade 1-for-1 in Assault. You have to get all 6 members of your Oregon State onto the point, and they get one last fight here. They're going to have Primal Rage, and they're going to have Valkyrie plus Bob.
We're going to see how well they can use those ultimates. Boise State is closest to Shatter and Meteor Strike, and now Valkyrie is used by Archimage. Hoyt is taken out with a pick onto Plato. That could be huge as Bob is no longer available to the Beavers now, and Elf is taken out by Plato as well. No Aim, No Brain was able to take out one of Boise State's support, and now is able to take out 2. Boise State has no healing left as Guac uses Primal Rage to try to push the Beavers off. And they are all split up right now on the point. Boise State might have just found what they needed to stop the Beavers from getting one tick. Hoyt throws out Bob, but is quickly taken out, and Bob isn't going to be on the point, which means that the Beavers are held to just 1.
Yeah, 2 ticks for Oregon State. Definitely going to be a hard thing for Boise State to break through, but a really good defensive play there. And I do think that Oregon State did make the mistake. As you mentioned, they Dragon Bladed without the Nano. I can see why they did it because the sound barrier wasn't completed by a large bagel, but we saw he didn't pick up a single kill with the Dragon Blade, and Boise State was not scared. So I get that he maybe wanted to swap off the Genji, but he could have waited 9% more, and who knows what would have happened. So I think just Oregon State just maybe made a slight miscalculation in just how strong a nanoed Genji is versus a non-nanoed Genji.
Boise State is going to get the opportunity to push here. I don't know what route they choose to go. Boise State, I don't really think that they've gone the left route too much, have they?
Occasionally. Boise State usually just likes to dive right on top of the team with sort of a brawl comp and put maybe Goblin or Plato or both up on that little ledge right there with a Widow and an Ashe and kind of just let them make some picks. So yeah, Boise State hasn't really gone left as much as you think. They sometimes go right a lot as well. So I think their comp is going to say a lot about what they plan to do, and I'll be curious how Oregon State wants to set up defensively, but I think that Boise State would have no problem with an Ashe on Plato and a Widowmaker on Goblin and just get some headshot value and just absolutely shut down this first hold for the side of Oregon State with the Echo Mercy combo, which is very, very interesting.
Yeah, that Echo does have the Mercy to pocket. We also see Hoyt is going to be on the Ashe there. Now we see Goblin is going to be on that Widowmaker. So if he can get a pick here or there, it's going to be a good first push for Boise State.
He did swap off to the Tracer. I also saw a Sombra for Boise State, but that was all just scouting. They'll end up going with McCree and the May. So they're going to probably push left. They'll use that May wall to shield them, but now No Aim, No Brain wants to sort of sandwich Boise State.
Plato does get the early pick onto Lum, but is quickly rezzed by Archimage. Archimage is taken out by Kel, is now going out up after the Echo in the air. Echo does manage to heal back up, and now we also see we see the Monkey trying to get away there, but is also taken out by Kel. And we see here Kel is focusing down Hoyt there, is able to take Hoyt out. Isaac and Elk also taken out by Guac and a large bagel. Boise State is able to get at least 1 point, should be able to capture the point.
Yeah, curious if Oregon State's going to want to recontest here. Doesn't look like it. And you see Boise State, now their ult's too far ahead of where Oregon State is. Isaac is going to switch over to that Diva. So very interesting. You have the Blizzard, probably the closest thing up here for Plato with that Amp Matrix from Asu, and that's going to be what Oregon State's got to watch out for. They really don't have an answer unless Lum gets a huge duplicate.
Maywall goes up there. Plato focusing down. Isaac here is able to take him out of the mech. Needs to be a little bit careful if Isaac doesn't want a remake. There you go. Able to take him out before the remake there. Now Boise State finds themselves with the advantage. They're going to be trying to focus down No Aim, No Brain as Blizzard is thrown out right at the point, stops him from getting away, and is focused down there. Taken out as the copy is stopped by Asu from the Echo as well. We also see Diva Bomb available from Cal here, but it's not going to be able to use it. Boise State captures it.
Yeah, just like that, Boise State, it was a great first pick onto Isaac. They didn't want to stagger him this time because they knew they needed to make sure he was dead, and unfortunately, it just really perfect game knowledge for Boise State for Plato there, because he walled the no aim, no brain on the Winston after he saw him leap, so he knew he had no escape. We'll see Lum play of the game, and you know, it's just that simple. You know, my ultimate is ready, you're charged up, get in there, and you just start swinging as hard as you can.
So now the Broncos versus the Beavers enters the third match of the night in best of 5. Next map control is going to be hybrid. Now, normally if Boise State is in charge of hybrid, we usually see one of the maps that isn't played that often, but normally with other teams, we can normally count on Kings Row being picked.
Yeah, I mean, I would be shocked if Oregon State went away from Kings Row. I think when these teams met in the regular season, they picked Kings Row, so maybe they either have some knowledge on Kings Row that they would like to pull off against Boise State, or maybe they have a different map. And it is going to be interesting because Boise State's comp that we've sort of, you know, talked about a lot. It looks very unconventional with the Orisa and the Diva, the Torbjorn plus the Hanzo, and it kind of just like makes teams chase in circles a lot. Has kind of been figured out a little bit. Teams have definitely cracked it a lot quicker than before, so I'll be curious if Boise State wants to go with that. They usually are able to get a recontest off as well, even with that comp when they lose, which has caught teams off guard in the past. So I'll be very, very curious what Oregon State wants to pick, but I thought that was an excellent showcase by Boise State for the most part on that map of them getting back to where we expected this team to be, being the dominant team, absolutely steamrolling through offensively. Defensively, made a couple mistakes. Oregon State probably also bailed them out with a bad miss on a nano blade. But for Boise State, you know, it actually looks like we'll go over to escort third. So we will change the draw up a little bit here.
And Havana worked out really well for Boise State. Last time when they were in the previous round, they decided to go with a double sniper composition just because of that first section and the great vantage point it does. Now, Shawnee State tried to counter that somewhat by taking a lot of indoor routes, but Boise State was still able to hold them.
Yeah, and I'll be curious to see if Boise State does want to attack second, if they just opt to go for a close hold and really try and just suck the life out of Oregon State and just get them stuck right in their spawn. Because, I mean, from what we just saw on Anubis, it was Boise State on offensively was just kind of rolling. So I'd be very curious. We're actually going to switch it up, and it will be Watch Point Gibraltar, which Boise State loves. This is a map that they have a very, very nice comp for. It's drawn some similes, unfortunately, to the GOATS comp, where right to the right of where our picture is showing us, there's that little underneath area, and Boise State will love to close hold you, and then they'll recontest down there with a May and a Sombra, and they'll just make it an absolute nightmare for teams, because first you have a Blizzard, then you have an EMP. It's such a small place to fight in for, so I think Boise State could not be happier. I think actually we did see Watch Point Gibraltar for Oregon State, and they kind of got suffocated out in that spot we were talking about. So would be very curious if the Beavers maybe have a different mindset for this map and maybe have a plan to counter Boise State's just grindy comp that teams have run into almost a brick wall into, honestly, when they get caught behind that little down area.
Play versus Collegiate Overwatch is a recap of the overall season. It's been 62 teams playing in a 7-week regular season in best-of-5 format. It has been Swiss in a mixed roster, with the playoffs being held right now, and Boise State was seeded number 1 as they enter those playoffs. I suppose old habits die hard for Oregon State if they really want to prove that they can do better on this and at least get to the first point at least, because last time I saw them, I don't know if it was Oregon State, but last time I saw Boise State play on Watch Point Gibraltar, they didn't even allow the other team to get 1 point.
Yeah, and it really is that Sombra May comp that is just so CC heavy, and it's such a small area to fight in that Oregon State really needs to make sure that if they win the first fight, because Boise State will try and close hold you just to kill some time off the clock. If Oregon State wins that first fight, they need 3 players on the payload at all times to be able to push that as fast as possible and get it away from that dip ASAP, because the longer it's down there, if you're trying to set up on that high ground, that's just a more of an opportunity. And you'll see teams will set up on that high ground, and Boise State will just completely ignore them, and they'll just stand on the payload and force teams to come down to them. So Oregon State needs to be prepared for this composition. They've seen it before, so be curious if Boise State maybe wants to try and change things up. But right now, Oregon State has to be ready for this grindy, GOATS-like comp that Boise State likes to pull out on Watch Point Gibraltar.
Well, they've been up against it once before, so you would think if they've already played this match that they would be a little bit more privy to Boise State's strategy, especially since this, we don't really see Watchpoint Gibraltar that much. So the only time we've really seen it is Boise State versus Oregon State. So this is kind of a rematch. The Beavers might just be trying to prove that they can at least get 1 point and get to the first checkpoint here.
Yeah, and I mean, we said it was a 3-0 for Boise State. They won Watchpoint Gibraltar over Oregon State. I think it did go a little bit longer than just that first point, so I'll be very curious what the teams want to do. As we see here, both teams said, looks like we got a Rhine Wrecking Ball for our team on defense. Oh, never mind, looks like it has been swapped over to a Diva, and can't really see too much else. There's that May, and I think I see that Sombra up there, so that looks like Boise State's defending first, and we'll see if Oregon State's got the answer.
Yeah, it is going to be proven right here. Kind of almost the match decided right here. This is going to determine the pace of the match. If the Beavers can improve from their previous performance, Boise State, look out for them on that first point, up that point that we saw right there. We're focusing on the flag right here, but as we rotate around right here, right under that bridge right there is where you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and Boise State will 100% close hold this, and you might see them lose the fight, and it might be like, well, that's not very good, but they are going to be able to recontest, and this pharmacy comp is not going to be what you want if you're Oregon State for that underneath. As Large Bagel gets picked first.
Large Bagel gets picked. And that's going to put Boise State at a slight disadvantage, but it is not necessarily here where they want to take their fight. It is going to be later, but right now in this fight, we do see a stun is going to be coming onto Guak as Hoyt puts that dynamite in there, able to take out that immortality field. And Oregon State's pushing the payload just a few inches, but not anything beyond that. Goblin taken out by Hoyt, and a hack coming on to Izok. Before Goblin was eliminated. Now this Diva in the center, Plato, is going to try to, this May, excuse me, in the center, heals up a little bit, but is still very low on health. And Kel is also taken out of the mech, is in Pilot Diva form right now, is able to re-mech, and if Rez comes on to no aim, no brain, but this really isn't the point. Now we see Fish how this turns out.
Yeah, I mean, Boise State just wanted to kill as much time as possible there. They got a minute off the clock, and this is where Oregon State, as I said, they need to have 3 members on the payload at all time. They need to be pushing this payload through this downward area as fast as possible, leaving 1 member down there as they do get a solo rocket barrage coming out. And it looks like Oregon State was ready, and they just said, we're going to meet you right in the spawn. They get a contest here, and a good job answering this strategy for now from Oregon State.
Yeah, Boise State is way off to the side right now as Lum on that Pharmacy able to take out Guak. Now they have made their way under that bridge almost to the first point now. Boise State finding themselves down 1. Large Bagel eliminated by no aim, no brain. Now here comes Plato on towards the point, as well as Goblin on the Sombra, taken out by Lum again, and this Pharmacy is just peppering so much damage down onto Boise State. They can't really make any play before they are just overwhelmed by those missiles.
And I do want to give a lot of credit here to Oregon State, because we challenged them to basically say, look, you picked Watchpoint Gibraltar. The last time you picked it was when Boise State just absolutely rolled you and you didn't even get a point. What do you have as a response? And they've absolutely shut down Boise State. I mean, that Blizzard got absolutely nothing from Boise State. It was just kind of wasted as Plato died.
Yeah.
And now I'm curious if Goblin wants to stick on this Sombra with this EMP, because they don't have a Blizzard to follow it up.
And talk about the ultimate strength from Oregon State. They have managed to save up 4. They're going to have 5. They're going to have 5 ultimates for this next pick, and especially Plato swapping off of that May is going to be going on to the Soldier now as Amp Matrix is thrown down by Asu for that Soldier. Guak is eliminated by that minefield. Asu was able to take out Archimage, so it is even, and still Elf goes down. It did throw out that nano boost, as well as the barrage going on to Asu. No aim, no brain, also taking out Plato. Both DPS is gone for Boise State, and the Oregon State continues to push forward.
Yeah, really good job there by Oregon State using all of their ultimates. I will say great answer by Boise State to survive all of those ultimates. Valkyrie and Gavidic Puck's the last one's committed, but Bob's right back in the fight whenever Hoyt wants to use him, and Boise State's not out of the woods yet as they only have the nano and nothing else.
Large Bagel taking a whole lot of damage. They're very low on health. needs to heal back up, but is taken out by Bob before he can. Plato answers that back by taking out Hoyt, but he is also answered back with Lum there, so Boise State is down 1 overall in this fight. They're getting very close, the Beavers, to the second checkpoint. Archimage eliminated by Goblin, and Large Bagel throws out that nano boost. Kel is going to be taken out of the Diva Mech. We see Guac was given that nano boost as Minefield heads down top of the point, takes out Kel. Large Bagel also eliminated by Lum, and Guac goes down to the Wrecking Ball as well.
Yeah, and just Oregon State has come out really strong here. They've caught Boise State off guard, and ever since, and that is the one, I mean, I guess you could say issue for Boise State's comp is that it leaves them in such a weird spot with a Sombra and a May that by the time they swapped off, I mean, Plato still hasn't gotten his first ult of the game back. So a really good job by Oregon State shutting them down, and that's the first positive play we've seen from Boise State in a while with a nice headshot onto Hoyt.
Plato gets an early pick onto Hoyt, but Oregon State dramatically improving their performance from last time. Archimage eliminated by Goblin. Now the focus going on to Lum. Elk also eliminated. No more supports or healing for the Beavers now. No Aim, No Brain very low on health as Guac uses that Primal Rage onto Izok, and Plato able to take out Hoyt there. So not really a lot that Oregon State can do right now except reset.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Beavers' chances going into this next fight. They're going to have the Nano on to No Aim, No Brain. He can just jump right into the back line. He can build up a ton of charge on that Primal Rage. Izok, if he gets a good backline Minefield as well, is going to be a very, very big nuisance for Boise State to deal with.
Now here comes Kel in here, not too charged up on Zarya power right now. Is going to be eliminated by Hoyt. You see Plato is using the tactical visor, but gets hit with the sleep dart. Is able to recover slightly, but not before being eliminated. So a great counter to that ultimate by the Beavers. Their rally is popped by Asu there, and not at full health for the team either. Is able to eliminate Lum, but this Monkey is going to be focusing right down onto Asu. And the Beavers still about halfway toward the third point. Still need to push toward it. As Goblin does get a double to stop Oregon State with No Aim, No Brain also eliminated. That is going to have to be a reset.
Yeah, I'm very confused where No Aim, No Brain was going with that Primal Rage. He could have easily saved it. I guess he didn't think, he thought his team was going to follow him up. I mean, he also did maybe want to just swap, so he's going to throw that away. But I do think that's just swap. If you want to swap, don't just like go in and int, because you're just giving Boise State more ult charge. So I like the rally. He's also got double pulse bomb. Bob's going to come in for Hoyt, and that's what Boise State's got to watch out for.
Rally is popped by Archmage. Lum and Hoyt still to use their ultimates. Goblin has to recall as it's a battle of tracers right here. Guac eliminated by Izok, putting Boise State at a slight disadvantage right now. The Pulse Bomb is available to Goblin. Boise State actually has a whole bunch of ultimates to use right now, though Graviton Surge isn't going to be one of them in the next few seconds. Goblin eliminates Hoyt, but Lum answers that back by taking out Large Bagel. Lum with a punch to Asu, answered back with a punch to Archmage. Seabaum going on to Plato, and Goblin also taken out by No Aim, No Brain. Guac is going to be using this Primal Rage right now to buy some time for the Broncos as they need to respawn. Going to pick up a double actually onto the Beavers. Gets pinned by the Reinhardt though, and taken out to stop that ultimate.
Boise State has this grab. There's no answer for Oregon State besides an immortality field. So as long as Boise State's able to pick their targets right, this grab should wipe Oregon State. And if they time it right, this is the last chance the Beavers are going to have.
There goes the tactical visor from Plato, as well as a nano boost and rally, but Plato off the map there. That is going to stop a whole bunch of damage coming through. Are they still going to be able to follow up on the Graviton Surge? Still coming through with his own damage, is able to wipe a huge number of Oregon State. So despite that unfortunate early development by Plato, it's still going to be a hold for the Broncos.
Well, Oregon State's going to get one last chance here because they were wiped so quickly, and they're going to have 4 ults to Boise State's 0, and the Broncos have got to get a pick onto somebody, preferably No Aim, No Brain quickly, or that shatter could be huge issues for the Broncos.
Now we see another battle of Tracers, a recall from Goblin right there to stay alive. Pulse Bomb thrown out, is going to take out Elk, and it's the only elimination the Broncos have so far as Guac just pile drives right into Oregon State, is able to take out No Aim, No Brain, is stunned right after that shatter went through, and Asu and Play-Doh comes on to pick up the pieces and keep Boise State holding the point. A double for Play-Doh onto Lum and Archimate, and now Oregon State is all split up. Diva Bomb is going to go right onto point, takes out Play-Doh, and the remech onto Asu is going to allow the Beavers to maybe still push this point. Oh, they got off the point! Oh! C9.
Oh, No Aim, No Brain, and Isaac totally forgot about the point.
Oh, well, it can happen. It happens.
And that was right after Isaac had the hero play. He got the Diva Bomb onto the Doomfist. He got the remech onto Asu, with just an absolute, just insanely change in the patch to quintuple the amount of damage you get off of a remech now. And I mean, I think that the biggest question here, Jem, is what does that do to Oregon State? I mean, how did they handle this in their comms? How do you say, you know, it's so easy to point the finger and say, you know, Isaac, what were you doing, man? I mean,
that's what you never want to have in your comms.
Exactly. We saw No Aim, No Brain literally grapple off the payload. Like he's like, oh, I don't want to be here anymore.
It's always a question of you want to be talking about what you're going to be doing in the future. You never want to start playing the blame game and say, why did this happen? Because you've got to fight right now. So all you need to be focused on is that extra fight, especially since Oregon State almost choosing Watchpoint Gibraltar as a statement to say that we can get to the final point and then to C9 at the very last moment.
And they did something that we haven't seen, is that they handled that Boise State May Sombra comp, and they played it perfectly. They said, oh, we know you're going to recontest down here. We're just going to camp that little doorway before you can even get to the point. So we're going to kick off this one. Boise State knows this is winnable, and I want to see how the Oregon State tanks respond, because that is the biggest question right now, and No Aim, No Brain is already incredibly low.
The sleep dart is going to be going on to Isaac, and a quick headshot right after that manages to roll away. Piat is going to put more damage, hit him with the dynamite, and Lum is going to be able to take out Kel, as Elk is hit with the sleep dart. No damage to follow it up. Lum a little bit low on health right now, putting Boise State. Boise State is at a slight disadvantage, is going to have to wait for a full respawn. Still having trouble pushing this point out of the center.
And you see how well Play-Doh's been playing, though, with these dynamites. It's already up to 53%. Hoyt does get a great pick onto this Tracer, but once Bob gets called in for Boise State, should help. But unfortunately, Hoyt's matching Play-Doh's percent basically, you know, A for A, 1 for 1.
No Aim, No Brain able to take out a large bagel, and Guac is next on the list as Boise State has pushed the payload a little bit forward, but now Asu is eliminated by Lum. They are going to have to reset right now. Play-Doh finds himself face to face with this Wrecking Ball. Is going to go after him and get hit by Lum in the back.
He does have that Bob 7% away, though, and that I think is going to be the fight changer. Ooh, nice pick onto Isaac. They didn't stop the res, but I think as soon as they call Bob in, they have the nano for Guac. Boise State should be safe here to start pushing, but a minute and a half burned off the clock. Pretty nice start for Oregon State.
Now here comes the nano boost, is going to be used by a large bagel. We do see Bob now coming online for Play-Doh, not quite used yet, but Lum is picked off. We also see Guac is going to be going up to the upper level here to knock some of the members of Oregon State back down to ground level. Does get stunned for a short while there, but now continues, is going to be pushing a lot of damage onto No Aim, No Brain. Goblin with a nice pick onto Hoyt there as Archimage uses the Valkyrie to try to keep the rest of the Beavers alive, as well as Transcendence to heal Elk all the way back up to full health, as Asu and Goblin are taken out by both tanks from the Beavers, and this could be a huge turnaround here. Guac using Primal Rage to get rid of Elk, as well as Bob getting rid of Archimate, so both supports for the Beavers are gone. Kel following that up onto No Aim, No Brain, and the Beavers look like they might be able to turn it around there, but now Boise State manages to get it back by taking out the supports first.
And that was a huge play by Guac. He just jumped right on top of Elk and forced the Transcendence, mainly for the fact that the Transcendence does make that Zenyatta invulnerable, and so he had to do that to survive just the amount of burn with that Tesla cannon that Guac could do. So huge play there by Guac to not only kill one support, but also get a huge ult out of the way as well.
And look at Elk with that early pick onto Play-Doh. You see Goblin trying to even it up here, maybe with a pick of his own. Does have infrared sights coming online. His minefield is thrown out by Izok. Goblin repositions here onto No Aim, No Brain there. Not able to take him out. Boise State still continues to push forward, using that rally and infrared sights at the same time. Nano Boost also very close for Boise State. Walk is eliminated by Lum and Rez comes on from Archimage onto No Aim, No Brain. Goblin able to take out Bob with that Widowmaker there. Boise State only managing to push through a little bit at a time. No real clear wipe onto Oregon State.
Yeah, Shockbait and Anode Kel, I guess they just want to build Grab Charge. The Transcendence is going to be up by the time Grab comes up, so unless they can bait it out from Elk, who barely pops it to stay alive.
Pops it to stay alive, a quick stun onto Kel there, eliminated by Archimage. Boise State hangs himself one down, and Archimage is going to be, that actually evens it up with Guac being able to make it winnable again for Boise State. They continue to push forward here, kind of in that center spacecraft there is where a lot of the fight is taking place, where Oregon State has kind of huddled up in. Boise State very close to the checkpoint right now.
Yeah, and with the Gravitic Flux coming out, No Aim, No Brain's not going to find anything. And if Kel gets this grab in any sort of soon time that Elk can't get Transcendence, Boise State's going to have a fight winner. So they just need to stay alive and get Kel's grab online.
Elk eliminating a large bagel. Guac soon taken out after he uses the Primal Raid. But Asu and Kel and Goblin all answered that back by taking out 5 members of Oregon State. And a little bit of a fight back there from Elk onto Goblin. But it is not enough as the Broncos get to the second point and now don't have to get to the third, just a little bit past the Beavers.
Yeah, it's really going to be interesting. Kel has the grab, but Elk, absolutely insane play on this Zenyatta. It's up to 86%. They need to commit the grab before Transcendence comes online, or that Transcendence will just make that grab absolutely useless. Or they let the Transcendence come online and they bait it out.
Well, it is going to be online right now, past 96%. It's a bit of a trade from both there as Hoyt and Plato. Both Ashes are gone from both teams there. Now Kel eliminated by No Aim, No Brain. The Valkyrie being used by Archimage, trying to be taken out by Goblin, is going to be able to pick off Archimage there. And we see Sticky Bomb also thrown out there. Is going to take out No Aim, No Brain. Lum answering that back by taking out Goblin. The large bagel uses Nano Boost, going to be throwing it onto Guac. Transcendence burned by Elk there to stay alive. And now the Broncos getting very close to the point where Oregon State unfortunately left the payload. They're going to have 2 minutes, 31 seconds. There goes Bob, Russian pass.
Yeah, this is huge. Getting that Transcendence out, such value. They just grab here, and Boise State should be able to win. Here's the grab.
Here comes the grab onto the Beavers, is going to, actually the Gravitic Flux takes out Kel, but Goblin and Guac pick up the pieces by getting rid of Hoyt and Elk, and the Dynamite and Bob from Plato is going to wipe out the Beavers, and that's going to be it for the Tracer's trying to stretch it out just a little bit, now eliminated, and there goes Boise State with the victory.
And honestly, the most impressive play of that entire map was Guac, because he did such a fantastic job time after time burning those Transcendences. I don't think that's going to be play of the game. It might be because of how much damage he was doing. But the ability to get all of those Transcendences out of the way meant that grab was basically a free win in that final fight. We see he's just going to pop the Primal Rage, slam those monkey fists around. Wrecking Ball, I don't even think Wrecking Ball played the game there. Sorry, Isaac. Hopefully you didn't pay for a skin because you wasted money. You didn't even get a chance to play with it. But honestly, though, huge bike walk to be able to burn, I think, 2 Transcendences. And both those Transcendences were used not for the healing, but for the invulnerability it provides that Zenyatta. And that was the difference maker. So Guac right there, huge win for Gibraltar for him. Excellent play.
So the Broncos win that match versus the Beavers, are going to be advancing to the play versus semifinals. Going to be going into the top 4.
Yep.
A great victory for them, but I got to hand it to the Beavers. They did a lot better than they did last time. You can tell that they really tried to prep and prepare for the Broncos.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of called into question their willingness to kind of let's run back Watchpoint Gibraltar because it did not end well for them last time. But a huge shout out to Oregon State for improving dramatically from the last time we saw them and coming oh so close. Just a couple of missed ultimates here and there from maybe 3 capping. And the Zenyatta was great, but we kind of see why the sound barrier is just a little bit more powerful than the Transcendence, because this just how squishy that Zenyatta is, the ability to not have that wall ride, not have that mobility that Lucio has to get away, meant that Transcendence had to be used time and time again as a self-defensive tool, and as soon as that's out of the way, that grab could just be launched really without care because they knew they don't have an answer for this.
And if they didn't, unfortunately, C9 at the end there, I
That's
think
true.
they would have been able to at least take the third point and at least,
Yep.
probably have gotten at least one more team fight with Boise there at the very end if Boise had to make all the way to the end there.
Yep.
So they were very close, just a couple mistakes here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic play by Isaac that he got the Diva Bomb. He got the remech that, I mean, just from what we've seen today, there's no way that stays for more than a couple weeks because that's just absolutely absurd that the Divas are just getting kills for remeching of all things. I guess, hey, they want to make every ult super powerful. It technically is an ult when you remech, so.
Well, even if it's a few weeks, it's for the finals of this tournament.
Yeah.
So a few weeks, but big impact.
Yeah, I mean, the finals are right around the corner, literally. I mean, so that is something that teams are going to have to be aware of with that Diva bomb, or with that Diva remech, not even the Diva bomb, of where's the Diva when she remechs, because it will just one-shot any non-tank hero. So great job by Oregon State. Great rally to really challenge Boise State on Watch Point Gibraltar, but Boise State comes out on top. This team is clicking on all cylinders. They have one goal in mind, and that is to match Wasey for his Play versus Madden championship. They want this Play versus Overwatch championship as well.
Well, that is going to do it for this particular match. Boise State advancing to the semifinals. I don't know if we have top player of the game, but I'm sure we have top 5 plays of the game. And we are going to just be getting into a little bit of a prediction for player of the game.
It's really tough because, honestly, I want to give it to Guac because, I mean, the first 2 maps were so steamrolly for Boise State that they didn't really matter in a sense of who played well. And I thought Guac was fantastic on Watch Point Gibraltar. He so single-handedly guaranteed them the win offensively, getting rid of all those transcendences. But the rest of the time, he was just, wasn't bad, wasn't great, was just exactly what Boise State needs in their main tank. But honestly, like I said, Watch Point Gibraltar was the one map that kind of had me, are we maybe going to go to a game 4? So I give it to Guac just off the play on that map alone. Multiple transcendences that he ripped through and forced out as a solo defensive ult, and that really changed the game and allowed Boise State to win.
Well, Boise State, generally in this play versus as they move on to the semifinals, was there any other team kind of in the play versus ecosystem that Boise State would have to watch out for in their next couple of matches?
I mean, obviously, in the championship, as we get our ICCU player of the game, anyone who makes it to the championship is going to be an issue. So, but I know the teams that Boise State has specifically mentioned. I know North Texas, who's the 2 seed, Akron, who's the 3 seed. One of those teams most likely going to win their other semifinal on the other side of the bracket. And those are the 2 teams Boise State is really looking out for in the championship game. But anyone who makes the championship, we saw it with Shenandoah today, anyone who makes the championship game is a tough threat.
And Goblin is going to be the one to take the player of the game. Did some great work on that Tracer, getting some great flanks there. ICCU player of the game brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Goblin's going to be your player of the game for this match.
Yeah, he played really fantastically. I think defensively he was really phenomenal, and he's really come into his own on this Tracer. He's really found a home as this sort of, almost like a gnat. Really is kind of what I like to compare Tracer to, because you hear her, she annoys you, but you never see her. She's there, and then she's over there, then she's over there, then she's over there. So honestly, I think he did a really good job. He's really focused in on that last match on Watch Point Gibraltar, and he had some insane pulse bombs where he was just kind of throwing them, and they were landing exactly where he needed them to. So huge congratulations to Goblin. I mean, anytime Boise State wins, Goblin is definitely a chance for player of the game because he has been so spectacular. Him and Plato have combined to really be that, like I said, the yin and the yang in terms of the over-aggressive Goblin and just the cool, calm, and collect headshots Plato, and that was all on display here against Oregon State.
Well, that's going to do it for the quarterfinals. Boise State advancing to the semifinals, so you're going to want to tune in when we focus on those for the play versus tournament. But for right now, Boise State has won the game. We'll leave you with the top 5 plays of the game, brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your critical thinking skills into real time. With more than 10 positions offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for, the Idaho Army National Guard is one of the best teams to join out there. Reach out to them on Twitch at iGuard Gaming. For now, though, thank you for watching and enjoy the top 5 plays. Boise State into an advantage there. Large Bagel does get a boop onto Horth to answer that back, but knowing No Brain getting a double on his own. Now here comes Goblin trying to recontest the point. Is going to be using Meteor Strike against Oregon State to send them back. Only Immortality Field is picked up by Elk there. Now Goblin takes out Archimage there, and without that support, without both supports, 2 minutes, 31 seconds. There goes Bob, Russian pass.
Yeah, this is huge. Here's that Transcendence out, such value. They just grab here, and Boise State should be able to win. Here's the grab.
Here comes the grab onto the Beavers, is going to, actually the Gravitic Flux takes out Kel, but Goblin and Guac pick up the pieces by getting rid of Hoyt and Elk, and the Dynamite and Bob from Plato is going to wipe.
Kel gets this grab in any sort of soon time that Elk can't get Transcendence. Boise State's going to have a fight winner, so they just need to stay alive and get Kel's grab online.
Elk eliminating a large bagel. Guac soon taken out after he uses the Primal Rage, but Asu and Kel and Goblin all answered that back by taking out 5 members of Oregon State. There goes the tactical visor from Plato, as well as a nano boost and rally, but Plato off the map there. That is going to stop a whole bunch of damage coming through. Are they still going to be able to follow up on the Graviton Surge? Still coming through with his own damage, is able to wipe a huge number of Oregon. Izok, and now it is still even for both of these teams. Hoyt is taken out by a large bagel now with a little bit of DPS gone, and the Diva also taken out. The Broncos need to charge on here to the point. Amp Matrix thrown down by Elk, and that might not be the best one since he is going to find himself focused down on this point. The Broncos are able to take it back.